So today we're going to be grading performances from the FNCS final, and what an FNCS finals weekend it was. It was one of the better weekends we've had in a long time in Fortnite. It feels like.
Absolutely. It was, I mean, we had close FNCSs from one side, we were close in another region, you know, everyone that expected to win won, and it was great.
I think, I don't think I've seen so many tweets of people saying this was the best FNCS ever, or like this was so good. Now, whether it was the best, you know, that's a question we can talk about at some other point, but like it was phenomenal all around. Had me the edge of my seat until NA when I fell asleep, unfortunately. But I don't know
how.
I don't know how that's possible.
I'll talk about it later, but it actually makes sense. I'll tell you why.
Yeah. Well, before we start grading players and performances, we got a question of the week, and it's an obvious one. This week's question of the week: what was your favorite moment from the Major One finals? We asked people on X, and here were some of the responses. So, what was your favorite moment of the Major One finals? Dignitas Fortnite account responded, winning.
Aura. The first time Dignitas has had aura in Fortnite ever, I think. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The problem is, we know Clut was the one that wrote this tweet. Clut, you didn't win, mate. You're not part of the team. You just do the social media. Like, you know, like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I was watching NA with him, and he very much felt a part of the team. He was screaming, he was cheering at every moment that Peterbot died or Ritual died.
That's my team. That's my team.
Yeah. That's class. Another one, what a kind of trend I've seen of the responses here, which is interesting, was people either saying their favorite part was when the broadcast didn't show Bucky, and then they showed him getting danced on at the end, or people were saying that's their, like, they hated that, and they loved the backlash from it.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, I saw a lot of people, like, coming up with their theories and whatnot. I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know what happens, because as soon as EU's done, I don't check. You know, like, I'm like just watching it as a fan. But yeah, it was weird, because I feel like in the past, they've never really shown, like, people, like, emoting after limbs, you know, like, things that would be considered, like, bad manners and that. They've never really shown. But to play devil's advocate, the one thing that I noticed about the clip that a lot of people, I think, wouldn't have noticed was, and I might be wrong here, because I didn't see much, like, other player cams on NA, but, like, they had braids or visuals, I forgot who it was.
Visuals,
Visuals. They had visuals as player cam, and we don't always get player cams on the broadcast. Like, it's very rare nowadays. And I know when they do have player cams, they make more of an effort to show those reactions. So it's like, I don't know. I did look at it and think, oh, maybe it's just because that's why they stayed on him longer. But even then, yeah, I don't know. I guess the conspiracy against Bucky continues.
Show more of that stuff off spawn. I'm here for it. It was good to watch. It was fun to watch. Like I feel like we need a little bit of spice, a little bit of, you know, not drama, but if someone emotes on someone off spawn, show it. I'm down. Like, bring the storylines of the two teams fighting against each other, trying to kill each other off spawn. That's fun to watch, and that it made a moment. Like, if they didn't show any of that, then obviously there's none of these talking points happen really.
100%. I'm like, they've swayed away from it in the past. I don't give a fuck. Give me the emotes, give me the BM, give me in the face cam in the bottom right where you can clearly see them shouting like swears at each other, but it's blurred because you can't hear it. You know, Gripey, when they won a game, he had his face cam on, he was like, let's fucking go! And you can just see it in the corner. I'm like, give me more of that stuff, that's awesome. And, you know, them choosing, whether it was an intentional not to show Bucky or whatever, you know, I think if you for years show yourself and like portray yourself as like the bad boy, I don't care, I'm gonna go against the company, then ultimately I think if they end up not showing you in the broadcast, I'm not gonna say it's deserved, I don't want to word it like that because again I don't even know if it's intentional, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was like a intentional choice, whether or not recently he's been getting into any like issues or not.
So I watched it, and there was a end game where he was very clearly on heights. And very clearly, they did not show high ground the one single time. Whereas they did have, you know, wide shots and they saw the high ground a little bit to put the context on it. So whether or not it's intentional, I feel like it kind of is. I mean, it kind of makes sense considering the history, but I don't want to speak further on that because I want to feel safe. So,
the epic shooters aren't here, bro. Like, you're good.
No, that's not the epic shooters. It's not the epic shooters I'm worried about, mate. I'm worried about the 313.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how polarizing Bucky is. Like, either like people just despise him and hate him, or like they just adore him and love him, and you know, it's again the 313 gang coming for you. So no respect. What was my favorite moment? Well, what was your favorite moment from Major One Finals? Someone said their favorite moment was Mongraal, Savage, and Panzer winning a game. I mean, what a moment that was. Like, obviously we'll talk about their weekend as a whole being amazing, but that win, like just that win, the euphoria of like seeing them on high and like actually like, hold on a minute, wait, what's going on here? Like that was an amazing feeling. Mongraal winning a game after how many years in an FNCS final? Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing to watch. Like, I think we all had, like, our kind of worries about them going into it. You know, it's the first time they've been uncontested. We didn't know how they were going to do. To see them actually win a game, not just get to some end games, do whatever, just actually show that they are still at the top of... They can still compete at the top of their level, you know. It was incredible to watch.
Chills. That's all I'm going to say. And that actually leads me on to the next answer here, where someone said their favorite moment from FNCS Grand Finals was when the camera panned to Queasy on height during Game 12. It sent shivers down my spine. I thought he was about to do the impossible.
Yeah. Nah, I feel that one. I really feel that one. You always give him a chance. You know, if he's on height and he's got to get a job, like you're always going to give him a chance in your mind. That was, he was really fun to watch. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they need like a 10 kill win. And like, you're like, that's not actually, when you actually do the math, it's like, it's not even that much, you know. When they're on high ground, you're like, it's actually happening. They had like 4 kills already. You're like, it's gonna happen. Like, that game 12, we'll talk about it more, but incredible.
That game was just about progression because one team died, and you're like, wait a second, Queasy actually not that far off. Or if you actually do the math here, it's like, oh shit, he's on high. And then, And then,
okay, we'll start speeding through these now. What was my favorite moment? What was your favorite moment on the Major One Finals? And someone said had to be when Queasy was on height fighting for it, and the best taco said he was getting back shots.
No, I did not hear that.
I did not hear that.
I did not hear that live, but I saw people talking about it after because I think Ozzy noticed it in his viewing party. And, you know, when he noticed it, naturally, you know, about 50,000 other people noticed it. So, yeah, that was that was funny. There's a lot of moments like that. Funnily enough, fair play to Taco, because I'm sure it probably got in her head when she realized she had said that. The car actually did the same thing like 2 weeks ago, and nobody noticed. And I was like blackmailing him with the clip. I was like, hey, I'm going to post that on Twitter. This is too funny to not post. And then it ends up being Taco.
Was it on the same team? Is it always Queasy they're talking about? That would be crazy.
When Takata did it, it was Tayson getting the back shots. But,
the Balkan apparently,
the Balkan back shots. Of course, a lot of the responses to this of what was your favorite moment from Major One was Peterbot Game 11 solo clutch. One of the craziest, most mechanical moments ever. Full stop. He's the go, bro.
Peterbot and Game 11 clutches. Need I say more? Classic. Need I say more? All right, last one we'll do on these. What was your favorite moment from the Major One Finals? Somebody said Acorn 1v2 clutch to keep his tournament dreams alive.
Oh,
cinema.
No, I mean, he's the last person you expect out of that trio to hit the clutch in that moment. Like you see the other two go down. Your Acorn left in a 1v2. You're like, well, this is it. This is Peterbot somehow bringing it back and winning. But just the clutch under the pressure. I mean, it was incredible. Like the whole weekend was just incredible. It was just every moment was insane.
Yeah.
That was his anime storyline arc, right? Like the years of getting beaten down, saying cold is better for this one moment to come back. It was great. Yeah, it was perfect for Acorn.
Yeah, no, I know he was very happy about that one, especially because I'm sure his teammates in that moment probably felt a bit like, oh no,
it's over.
Acorn's got a clutch, man. Shit.
Yeah, and I lied because I did see one more comment that has to be acknowledged. What was your favorite moment from the Major One Finals? It's an M8 fan saying the Frenchies 5-1 Cami Setty on the first day. France on top.
France is not. anywhere
I've
near
never-
the top of this leaderboard, I must say. But
It's the
Not been a
age-old
long
Fortnite
time.
question of would you rather win or spawn or win on the leaderboards? I don't know, man. I
I don't know if
know.
either were winning on the leadboard either. I wouldn't say 20th is a win.
Yeah, money is money, though. Welcome to the new format.
That's true. That is true. All right, let's get into the main meat and potatoes of today. We obviously had an amazing weekend. We saw Veno, Vico, Flickzy win a narrow victory on EU. There was so many teams in it right up until the end. On the NA side of things, we had a surprise win from Acorn, Ajerss, and Pollo. Peterbot that chased them down in the final game, but couldn't quite catch up. Both exhilarating finals for different reasons, both super entertaining for different reasons. It's funny because I know we had conversations up on here about like the state of NA and all that, and you know, you lot were quite pessimistic about it, but understandably, I'm not going to use this as an opportunity to shit on you guys because I think most people felt like the finals was going to go one way, and it didn't quite go that way. It's annoying.
you trying to say that you weren't predicting it to also just go one way?
I was
and be
going to
boring?
say, I seem to
I
remember
feel like
this.
you're
said
taking yourself
you
out of the
guys.
equation.
Yeah.
Like you were saying us
because
three a little.
what I was about to remind you guys of is, I don't know, were you all here for the episode that got like screwed up?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
I couldn't remember if one of you was missing. So what's really annoying is because we recorded it, I assumed that this was out. I like forgot that part of the episode didn't make it. I don't know if you guys remember, in that part of the episode, we talked about Peterbot, Pollo and them, or Peterbot, Ritual and Code. And I don't know if you guys remember, I actually said in that part of the episode, I was like, as much as they're blowing everyone out of the water, they're not unbeatable. It's like actually possible, because, you know, we were having a conversation of Reese saying, why are so many players in NA just pussies and not even trying, you know? And I'm annoyed that part of the episode didn't get posted now, because now I would look cold as fuck for...
I don't
Guys,
see any
I
video
don't
proof of
I don't
this.
remember
I don't
that.
remember
Yeah,
that. I don't remember that, guys.
Discord?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't remember
Well,
that at
guys,
all.
good
Levin
thing
never
is-
said that.
Yeah, I don't remember him
have
saying
the
that at
file.
all.
I can just upload this.
No,
Now
you
guys
don't.
are lying
It's
about
some
it.
edited file.
I can just,
Yeah.
I can just post that
AI.
part if you guys want, you know? So let me know in the comments if you want. Nevertheless, let's start off with, I think, the obvious ones, right? In terms of like, we're going to give grades and like, we'll give different grades to different people. We'll give grades to just the teams as a whole. If you want to give someone a different grade within the team, like a certain player, feel free. I think there'll be some cases where that will be necessary. But we will start off with our EU boys. Veno, Vico, Flickzy. What grade are you lot giving them for this FNCS?
Oh, what?
It's just like, oh,
From S to A to
A plus. Just like American grading type
Oh,
thing.
Americans.
Like A plus.
A minor. A minor.
A minor?
Yeah, I'll give
No,
him an A minus for this round.
I would say A plus if I'm going to keep an S tier in there. Obviously, they won, but their first couple games looked a little flawed. I loved how they ended up basically changing up their kind of strategy throughout most of the kind of tournament and adapted to kind of some of the strats that weren't working earlier on in the first couple games when they're below. But yeah, I mean, they won, so it's hard to give them anything outside of like top rating.
I'd give them. I think I'd agree with you, Boop, an A minus. I think because like the situation they're in, and like kind of going into it, everyone. There were some obviously people like I think Reese, you thought Malibuca would win, but majority of people thought Veno would win. It was the majority case, and
only because he was contested. That's what I would have put them first had they not been potentially contested.
So I'd
yet.
say 90% of people would have put them to win, right? And for how close it was, and how many games, especially on day one, as you talked about, how many times they were below surge and they were struggling on far pools, and it felt like, even though it's incredible, but I think. If we'll talk about NA and we'll go into that especially, but maybe there was more that could have happened. Like the good games were really good. They maximized them. 4 wins, realistic. I think that was the most on both major regions. It's an incredible performance, but I don't think I could put the top because I think there's still more to go. I still think they can reach higher levels that I think they will in the next season. I think they will. They could easily have, in this situation, they could have easily won by more points in my eyes.
Yeah, 100%, right? I mean, this is also the issue that Vico and Flickzy have had the whole season, is there is a lack of consistency in this team. They have the big highs, and then they have the games where just things go wrong very quickly. And in this grand finals, there were a lot of moments where like, oh my god, they just won a game with 15 kills. And the next game's like, oh shit, whoa, they just died mid-game, guys. What happened? And it's actually, it feels to me like the story, at least of this Grand Finals for a lot of the major teams in EU and NA, is that a lot of these guys are used to running through lobbies in Division 1 and like getting kills and like finding a mid-game fight for the Surge. But like the mid-game fights for most good teams in this EU lobby and the NA lobby just went badly. There's always those games where like one player just gets knocked or like there's a third party, and it seems like everyone in that lobby knows what they need for Surge. So like the amount of third parties and fourth parties and the amount of chaos that happens meant that W keying for Surge, at least most of the time, just didn't go well for these guys. So yeah, I feel like that's the tell of the story of Vico and Flickzy, is that they were great, they won FNCS, but you know, they were very much vulnerable. And I mean, the fact that there were points where it was scary and they could have lost it, but obviously the individual skill here helped out, is why they won this FNCS. So that's why I gave them an A-. I think their gameplay could have been a lot more cleaner, obviously.
I think you guys are spoiled by what we saw last year with Peterbot and them, and I think you're being too harsh. I think this was an A+ from them. I think we came into this final and this weekend thinking they were the best team in EU, and they showed they were the best team in EU. And like, yes, you're right, it was close, but like FNCSs in EU, for the most part, have always been close. Like even when there is like a team that everyone thinks is better, you know, it's like, the nature of like good competition in Fortnite is such that it's close, you know?
No,
like,
agreed.
Even when you look at like some of the best performances of all time, there were moments when it was close. Like you look at Peterbot Pollo Globals, like it was still close, even though they were like so amazingly good, you know? Like you get close, like it being close and them not completely blowing out of the water, I think is like an unrealistic expectation. I think when you look at just what they did on the weekend, you know, I thought they were the best endgame team going into it. They showed they were the best endgame team when they made it to end games. Like, if I would understand what you were saying, if they had been like a very consistent mid-game team, and then in Grands they weren't as consistent, then I would be like, okay, maybe they had some like all the problems that we sort of expected them to have, they had, and they weathered those problems and still won. To me, that's an A+.
I mean, I'm just comparing it to like, maybe my standards are high, but like, you know, Veno and Queasy, 6 out of 12, you know, I think this team had the capabilities.
But that's the exception, not the rule.
No, I know it's not the, yeah, but if you're thinking, but I'm
every
thinking of
performance to that.
No, but it's like, if I'm saying the perfect performance is an A+ or an S, right? Like that to me is what I would put an A+ or an S. I don't think this was perfect, which is why I put it a little bit low. I'm not putting it in C tier. I'm not saying they did what they needed, it was an average performance, go next. It's like, it was a really good performance. They were the best team. I think a lot of teams, I don't think there is really going to be an EU team unless, obviously, compared to where we expect them. I'm going to put much higher than that. But, like, I think that was the state of EU. It was, because, as you said, it was competitive, but there were mistakes from every team in EU, which is why it made it so exciting. A team didn't run away with it. Every game, there was, like, a team was dying to search here, a team was dying to search here, Solo would die in endgame. You know, it wasn't like, in my head, I always think about, like, was it a perfect tournament? No, then I can't put it as, like, the highest grade possible. But obviously, yeah, still, I don't
think a perfect tournament exists.
No.
Not perfect tournament, but very you can get closer to perfect.
I don't think we've seen close to a perfect tournament.
I think Queasy and Veno for 9 games were.
That's not close to a perfect tournament for me.
It's closer, I think.
And I think the fact that they acknowledge the fact that they should have won more games even further adds to the fact that that wasn't a perfect tournament. It was one of the best performances we've ever
closer
seen.
To a perfect.
I don't think we should be sat here like going like, like it wasn't like near perfect. I think based off of the expectation and then what they delivered, it was as good as you like. It was an A+. Like performances like the Queasy 6 out of 12 or whatever. That's like, if we were grading back then, we would have had to have a conversation of we need a new grade. A+ doesn't quantify how good it is. You know, like that's the scale I think makes the most sense to look at. Because even you saying like you know, you don't think there'll be much people like higher than that, unless the expectation like far exceeds. Even that I don't agree with, because we'll get on to the next team that I want to talk about here. Or actually it'll be the next team. I'll go in order.
Yeah.
P1ng Wox, Malibuca. How do you grade those guys?
I don't know if I want to start because I get beaten down straight away.
Yeah, let's bitch you here, mate.
Let me think. So I feel like they came second overall, right? Yeah. Think. I think one of the things that surprised me the most about them, just thinking about their team overall, is how many like small mid-game mistakes they made in fights and things like that in the first day to start with.
Yeah.
That really shocked me because like their first 2 or 3 games, it was like we rotate out a night shift and teams always seem to go in there to reboot. So we go back, we get a few kills. And that worked, for 2 games in a row? And I think in the third game, then they were fighting against Xwiz. And Podesai absolutely bossed them. Like, props to him. He was absolutely working them from those little peanut butter right-hand peaks. It was looking good. And there was just a few moments like that where I thought, wow, okay, there were some real like loose ends here. It's odd because I feel like I didn't see much of them on day 2. Like I have my notes here and I'm scrolling through all of my day 2. I have literally nothing written about them outside of game 7 where I put fragging up. That's it. It doesn't even make sense, right? So I was like, I feel like I didn't see much of them. I remember maybe they weren't shown on the broadcast. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I'm not sure. But like to come second and me not have like much to say about them is rare, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one with them because it's like I feel like apart from that second place, the one you're saying they fragged up, I swear every game was a duo for them in endgame. I feel like every time I saw them on the broadcast was a duo. Like it was just Wox and Pings. Or it was never like the same duo. It was always just like any of the 3 of them. And yeah, I agree. I think it was like the plan we all talked about was a little bit messier than we thought it was going to be. But their endgames were just good. They just had enough kills. They just like they got so. It felt like they were constantly going into endgame with kills every single game. But then because they were a duo, they weren't getting much more. Like the amount of games I saw them go into endgame with 8+ kills. I think there was like at least 4 or 5 games where they went into endgame with 8+ kills, and I felt like I really thought multiple times they're going to win because of just how many kills you get. You turn into a win, it's a 15, 16 kill win, and that is just taking you over. But they never really just got that game.
Well, they didn't win a game.
I would probably like this feels like an A/A- to me. I'd maybe lean towards A- just because they didn't win a game. The tournament was in their hands in that last game, Veno and them go down and they have an opportunity, and they were also having a scuff game, which made it more entertaining to watch for us, right? But it's interesting. On day 1, the mid games weren't as clean and straightforward. Like that was, I think, the area of their game that I felt most sure about, in terms of like, are you, how confident do you feel about their overall game plan? That was the part where I felt like most confident, most sure. And then, like you said, Harry, in the end games on day 2, it just wasn't. They weren't, and like, when we talked about them last week, we know that end games weren't going to be like the cleanest of clean, right? Like I didn't expect them to be like the best end game team, but it was just a bit fractured. Still very impressive though to stay in it when you're a duo that many times and you're a bit scuffed or whatever. I think a lot of people outside of like the whole Veno might be con thing, a lot of people I think had these guys as the runner-up, and they were a very good runner-up. Yeah. And they made the show entertaining until the end. So for that, to me, I'll give them the A. Good FNCS for those guys. Call for globals as well is really nice for them, for P1ng Wox to get that in so early.
Yeah, 100%. I think similarly what I said with Vico, Veno, Flickzy, this team as well had those games where Surge just snuck up on them as well, right? And then the reaction to that is obviously just to fight in mid-game a little bit more, but then, they just kept running. For some reason, it was always Podesai's team that they ran into, even though they don't really land on like the same side of zone. One lands north, one lands to the west. So for some reason, they kept doing it. It was like 3 games in a row that they forced a fight and storm with them, and then one of them just gets knocked, and then they had to play out the scuffed game and have them to reboot in zone. So I do think that there was more to be done there for them, obviously. But obviously the end games just made up for it, and the dual clutch made up for a lot. No wins is interesting though for that team, because I feel like they are a team that is very likely to have those games where they just win, right? Like a very Malibuca Merstach where they have some mediocre games and then they just come out with a banger. So them to not win a single one is actually very, very surprising, and probably shows that they probably underperformed to what the usual type of expectation is in the final.
I mean, I don't want to like be down on them because they still played incredible for like the fighting they had and the way they played was incredible. But in a weird way, it does feel like it's kind of the case with quite a few of these teams. There's just the what ifs, and I feel like they'll be sat there with the what ifs, especially in the last game. I feel like they got knocked like 3 times in 6 zone in the last game. It was like trying to like get into zone. I felt like it all just got so scuffed so quickly. I think I'd put them at an A-, the same that like. Expected second place, got second place, still was more room on the table for maybe a little bit more, like just a bit more. but still an A-. I said, like, still very, very good performance, and it's exciting because a lot of these teams, I still think there is even better they can get to, and even more that I feel like is possible.
I didn't see Malibuca stream yesterday because I think he was streaming solo cash grab. But I would guess he feels like they could have played better.
Yeah.
Like, a lot better.
He tweeted that immediately. He thought he was so disappointed.
Nice. Yeah.
He was very, very disappointed with not winning. He was like, deep down, I know I'm happy because I qualified. And he's also said, deep down, I know we played well, but we could have just played better. Which is like, I think that's like a very good position to take, being like, we did good. I respect that we came second. We called the globals. It's one of the biggest goals for all the players in the year. Ticked off, but we could have won, man.
Yeah.
So, that kind of hunger for wanting more, hopefully will keep them going strong in the next couple of seasons.
That's the thing, though, about this final, is that I felt like this final felt very weird in terms of the way that was played out for all these teams, right? The game just devolved into chaos a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Like, compared it to like how stacked NA was, EU was like, okay, we've got 99 teams coming in. Okay, 10 people have just died. Okay, we've got 73 alive now in second zone somehow. Bunch of reboots come out. Okay, we're back down to 68 alive in third zone now. I think that sort of the game's delving that time. I think caught a lot of people off guard, which is why I think I keep saying like, yeah, all these guys just struggled for Surge a lot of the games. It says the Surge was so high in EU, everybody was just fighting, and then you're just not used to that game because none of the Division 1 finals we've ever played or seen felt like those finals. It was a completely different tournament compared to a Division 1 final or like scrims, for example. It was kind of weird how that went, even though like there were really good teams in it that have played multiple grands before.
I think the servers played a huge factor in this. It's been a while since we've had this many complaints about servers and the broadcast. Like, oh my god, I'm getting broadcasted. I can't play. It's unplayable with the broadcast. I think every time someone died to Surge or anyone died, it's just the broadcast was on me. I couldn't play the game.
Do you know what's so funny about that? So like, there were people tweeting. I'm not gonna name and shame, but there were people tweeting that where like I had like people in my ear like. We literally didn't have an observer. Like, and they're like, oh, so like the observer's watching you. Like, we're not watching you, buddy. Like, we're not.
You're 31st, like,
yeah. So it was bad though, because I know like everyone in the lobby for the most part. You know, like when you can see on a Syrian like the server stability stats and all that. Like, it was really bad, which is annoying because like last year we got to such a good place with it. So I say hopefully we'll see some improvement there, but.
One thing I should also add, good luck watching any of the replays from that.
Oh,
if you think
it's unwatchable.
You think it's laggy playing it and then watching it on the broadcast, the replays are atrocious. Atrocious. So
everyone just freezing on the spot and then like it's like for a minute and then they come back. So it's just like so
when
bad.
Island spawns, right? I don't know if this has happened every single season, but when Island spawns, for example, it doesn't spawn. So it's invisible for like 10 seconds. By the way, I'm doing a video on Island, so fucking great. And remember, the boss is also invisible in replays, which making them thank you. So you see people like only mask up onto nothing, and then you see a couple builds, and then it appears. But the rift stays for like 2 minutes. So there's just this glow over it all. I'm just like, and then every shot is just stuttering, and every fight's awful. Anyway. Sorry, continue, Levin. Maybe go on to your next
put you out your misery. No, I'll put you out your misery. The next team, Vanya, Pixie, Marius. Third place, Reese. Get us started.
I have. So, as a man who has just mentioned about Island, this is one of the things I thought was really interesting about them. Their first day, obviously, they were first on the leaderboard by a reasonably good margin. And they were on Island 3 of those games because obviously we had a lot of like South pools. They ended up, I think it was like first, second, and third, and they had another second in as well. Like their first day was really, really solid, but they weren't able to get on Island at all on the second day. And I feel like every single game they were not on Island. Every time the camera panned to them, they were below Surge. I feel like it was just almost every single time I saw them in mid game, it was below, and then they got up. And it's like, okay, we make a play to get up, but they were just teetering on every single game. So I often do wonder, like, had some of those, pooled maybe a couple more south zones in that second day, or had maybe some of their early off spawn been better and they've been able to be into position to get Island there. I wonder how that would have changed it up for them, other than just based on the way it went.
I mean,
grade.
Great.
Go on, Reese. Give us a grade.
I mean, their day one looked really good. I really liked their day one. If they'd continued that would have been an A+. I'll give them the A- on that. I could even be a high B because of how scuffed they were on Surge often, but their off-spawn scenario was really tough for how many people were around.
Is
I
the
really
grade
wanna see
relative
what-
to someone's expectation of them?
I think it has to be, which is why I really want to see what Harry says.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about them because, like, so first thing I want to say is last game they could have still won. They got a 25th last game. They were still. It's like we're, like talking about them like they were. I don't disagree. Every time it was just the Vaniac story was okay. So they're above Surge. You get to 6th to 8th zone, and they will be below, guaranteed without fail. They will be below, and then they'll get like a 5th or a 10th or somewhere in there. They'll just about make it. But yeah, I mean, I think for the you got to keep it into context. One of the biggest upsets in Heats, right? Into Last Chance, calling out the last game in Last Chance, where it was a close last game as well, where things could have changed, right? And I think the context of that going into Grants, I don't think anyone had them in the top 3. I don't think anyone would, and it's understandable really not to have them in the top 3 based on their performances because uncontested. They
I had them
shown.
4th.
Not in the top 3.
Not in the top
three. Not in the top.
That is still crazy to put them 4th. I can't lie.
I agree.
No, it's not. I'm just going to totally fucking interrupt your point, Harry.
I know you are.
I think this is bollocks. Saying having low expectations of them is so false because it's a shocker that they did bad in the one tournament in their group. And then no one would be surprised. Like, yeah, they called to the last game in Last Chance, sure, but they also did bossed everyone in the first 2 games to start with and just didn't miss. It's like the one tournament they played in together. What the fuck was that? They were
6th.
What, 2nd? And they were 3rd in the other one before that, like in the 2 divisional cups they played. It's like, it's just a shock they did bad in one tournament, not that they did good in anyone. I think if anyone says that they were going to do badly, presuming they were uncon, like, there's just no way. There's just no way.
No, but I think there's
3rd
more.
is overperforming.
I think there's more context, and I think 3rd is insane. It is a really good performance from them. I think putting them in top 5, top 10, fair enough, whatever. I think putting them in the top 3 with the standard of teams we had, some of the teams coming into it, I felt like was maybe out of reach for them in my eyes, especially with Kappa, a spot where I've watched it on every region, and I feel like no one plays it that well. I feel like everyone is like so slow off spawn. They really can't get to anywhere with Surge. And it feels like, well, they figure out the solution, which is hope for height triple con. Let's go key that every game. I felt like that was a good solution to their problem. And yeah, to me, like, I think this might be one of my highest gradings. I would put them at an A or an A+, because they were very, as I said, first day 1, they got some good zones. They were able to maximize them with islands. To be honest, the second places, I actually think they could have won every single one of their second places they got, to be honest, I think on day 1. But I think still just, it was, if you just think about the situation they were in as well, just like, I think this trio came together pretty late, because it was Vanya, Pixie, and Chap, and then they went back to Marius. So I think overall, with everything together, I think this is just a great performance with how everything into consideration. Of course, as with all the teams, Surge could have been better. Could have been better in certain situations. As you said, with Island, not getting Island on fire pools, maybe not being prepared to maybe play for it on fire pools, or not possible from Kappa. But I still think this is a good performance from them for sure.
Yeah.
For me in this trio, the reason why I think expectation was low, obviously, I feel like Fortnite is just a very mental game, right? Like, if you've just gone from the lowest heat, the worst possible heat, and then to the last chance qualified to win the last game, I feel like going into a grand finals after that, I feel it's very difficult to recover from that sort of mental situation, which is why I put them relatively low. Obviously, I thought Queasy was calling them, which is another conversation to have, but that's why I think third place is actually overperforming for them. But the fact that they were able to be resilient through that, still make it through into a grand finals, do super well, and also change up a game plan, I think requires a lot of props for them. I think the area around Kappa Kappa and everything around them looked a lot better on the map than it actually ended up being, because there was like 4 different people calling it apparently, and like there was a lot of search opportunities. So they were able to still find search opportunities, even though there's like nothing there for them most of the time, and then still be confident enough in late games to take high ground. So I actually, funnily enough, maybe the fact that they went to last year's qualifiers, took height in every one of those games, made them realize, hey, this shit's kind of easy to take high ground. Maybe we could just do this in grand finals as well. And it ended up working for them. Unfortunately, into the last game, they were able to win still, but shortly fell off of it. I think it definitely is an A performance. I think they performed in terms of relative to their expectations better than Malibuca in terms of that grading system, right? So I think they deserve a lot of props for that.
Yeah, I understand. I think there's a balance here because you're right, Boo. Compared to the expectations that most people had, they overperformed them massively. But you're also right, Reese, in that the expectations probably shouldn't have been as low as they ended up being going into the finals, right? So it's like finding a balance between the two. I'd probably lean towards like an A- then. It's interesting because I've not watched their mid games from day 2. But yeah, whenever we saw them again, they were down on Surge. Like you said, Harry, the triple con like situation at Hopeful just fell into their lap. So like the way I felt about their day 1, which now makes me even want to move them down a bit. It was like a high B, like Reese said. Like I felt like things going right for them on day 1 were not a result of them really looking at what went wrong for them in the groups and like readapting. It kind of felt to me, and maybe this is harsh to say, it kind of felt to me that it fell into their laps. Like the situation for them ended up just being very good. They ended up pulling a lot of zones where they could play for Island, and they ended up having Hopeful being way more contested than they had ever like experienced it being, which has made it easy for them to just rotate in and just like get free tags like infinitely and then go back to Kappa and chill off for the rest of the game. The one thing that I think they did change from Grands and groups that was a clear difference for me is knowing when to rotate into Seaport. If you watch their group games, there were a couple of the games where they went south to try to get Surge on Hopeful when it didn't make sense to do that, when they could have went north to go Seaport. And like in Grands, they were much better than that, at least on day 1, where like they went into Seaport all the times where it made the most sense to go into Seaport. But yeah, for me, it didn't really feel like they had improved that much when it comes to their like how they were playing out of the spot. It just kind of made it. I feel like the Grands lobby, as it does sometimes, just sort of worked out for them. But on day 2, they were still like hanging in there. Like I made the point of broadcast at one point. They were the kind of team I was kind of just expecting to just like fall off and like disappear down the leaderboard a bit in day 2. And then every game, it's like they're in the end game and they're still up there. It's like, oh, okay, I should stop counting you guys out.
Their day 2 was kind of odd with that though, because like if you look at the day leaderboard, they were 8th. So like and they were obviously like really first. Well, not really first. They were first by like what 40 points on the first day or something like that.
Yeah.
So there was like a big disparity between day 1 and day 2 like that. And if you look at the games, it's like they were super consistent in getting to end game. They got to every single end game basically, but it was like 7th, 8th, 5th with a couple elims, and a couple good games in there as well. Absolutely, but it's like they just didn't have any of those like big banger games in the second day. Well, maybe outside of the first one, but.
The last thing I want to say is about like your point, Levin, about the Heat's difference to Grands. I did think there was a big difference in their performance for Surge. Like I understand like the whole spots are called near them, they can go third party and fight, but the way they played Surge and Heats, and a lot of their games they were going Surge positioning but weren't even fishing. And then the one good game they had was when they actually went Surge position and fished in Heats. But in Grands, it felt like they were just keying. They were fighting. They were using the star power. You think of Vanya, Marius, and Pixie. You go fight for Surge. That is the best way you could play, the best way you could get, or the best you could get out of each of your players, right? It's just going and fighting and using your star power, right? And I feel like in Heats, they just were scared, or maybe they just were like, oh, we can play normal Surge, but even their normal Surge strats weren't really that good. So I do feel like they definitely improved, showed in last chance qualifiers we talked about, and in Grand. So I do think there was an uptick in their performance. But I understand your points, right? Day 2, it did feel like they were just hanging in there. It never felt like they were pushing for the lead. It felt like they were just hanging in for the best performance possible every single game.
The reason I said that, maybe it was confusing the way I said it. It's just the nature of the fact that they still struggled for Surge on day 2. And a bunch of the teams in the South did, because like I know iDrop and them did. But like, you're right, there was a difference in how, because there had to be a difference. They couldn't play, nobody in the South of the map was playing Surge bases. Like, you couldn't do that on day 1, right? But I'm saying, it didn't feel like they had prepped something much better. It just felt like it fell into that. So we need damage. Oh shit, there's 5 teams fighting in Hopeful. Let's get some damage. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like they actually had done that better. But maybe the way I worded that didn't make sense.
No, I understand.
On to the next team. This is an interesting one for me. Queasy, Swizzy, Merstach. I'd go ahead and give them a straight banger A+. 5th place while contested, still had the chance to win in the last game, and I know that last game will haunt Queasy, and I know it's hurting him. But the fact that they were even in position to potentially win this tournament while being conned every flipping game. Mental.
We say this all the time about Queasy. Like, he's conned and he's still able to win. Oh my god! And so people still doubt the man, you know, which is interesting. I think there's 3 specific moments that was what lost this FNCS for them, right? Obviously, one being contested. There was one game where they took a random mid-game fight after being contested and it just died in 27th. That was like crucial points they missed out on. And obviously, the first thing wasn't the one of the 3, by the way. And then there was a game in, I don't know, we didn't see it on broadcast, but there was a game, last game of day number 1. They were on high ground, and all of a sudden they lost high ground. I was like, how did they lose height? And I went back into replays to check how they lost height. And somebody TP'd up on top of Merstach. Merstach got fucking bounced off the TP and died of fall damage in that last game. And they ended up getting 4th that game, which is the most unlucky shit that you've ever seen. And obviously last game, of course, they didn't end up winning it. So some moments there, I feel like could have gone luckier for them, which probably might have even won them that FNCS, but unbelievable performance while being contested. And they stood on business against the French, you know? All the shit talking, it worked out, so.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like on day 2, there was like 3 games in a row where I felt like I was watching the same game where endgame it was Queasy, early moving, on height, and then in comes Savage and Mongraal trying to fight them for like the 3rd time in a row. And then they both just grief each other, and then someone else just takes height and wins the game. It felt like it was a weird situation where it's like, if it was more like, if Savage and Mongraal made less endgames, I generally think there's a conversation where they might have just won more games and could have got a lot more points. I think that was a big problem, that they actually just end up when they took early height, they end up having to fight for it so many games, which is not what they're looking to do at all. But yeah, I agree with everyone, you know, conned at Seaport, full 50-50 spot, you know, even some games they were dipping, like the French team was dipping, and they were still making it work. They were still getting God games. It is, yeah, I mean, he's showing every single time, Queasy, that if you are contested, it doesn't matter. You can still show how good you are. And I mean, he's not wrong when he tweeted, like, maybe people on EU aren't ready for when he's uncontested. If he's doing this whilst contested, I think, yeah, who knows what they can do uncontested.
Yeah, and we're seeing contested, but it's not even just contested. It's like contested with iDrop's team pushing it. Like game 4 in particular, there was 5 teams there, including those 2 that went. I was on like 3 teams pushing into third party. Now they didn't do well that game, but like, you know, when you look at the off spawn scenario that they had altogether, unreal. I think there was a stat in the broadcast at some point. I don't know what game it was. I think it was still on near the end of day 1 or maybe at the start of day 2, where they hadn't been ticked by Surge once throughout the entire tournament yet, which is unreal impressive. Like, just for, obviously they have the advantage of being, you know, getting some tags off spawn and stuff, but really, really impressive. I haven't watched the final game yet. From Queasy's POV, did he fully milk? Because that's what it looked like on the broadcast, and just over peak and get beamed. Like, what happened? He got
beamed and then he died. Yeah, as far as I can see, he got beamed and he fully died. Apparently, Vico and Flickzy were also spam inviting him.
I did see
that, which is an interesting thing. What do you guys think about it? Do you think that's fairness in the competition, or do you think that's just weird?
Game is game.
I think it's
game is game. Yeah, but like, I think it can be both. I think it is weird.
Yeah,
but game is game.
Yeah,
I think everyone will do it, right? I think everyone will do it in the same situation.
So it's funny because I spoke to a pro about it, and I won't say who, but it should be fairly obvious. I spoke to a pro about it, and their exact sort of words were like, but if it was Queasy in that situation, what do you think he would have done?
Yeah, everyone would do the same.
And I don't know if Queasy listens to the pod, so I'm sure he'll hear this. I don't know if Queasy would have done. I'm sure he will message me saying, fuck, I wouldn't do that.
Boys.
He replied to someone about this. He replied. He said, there's no way I'd do this. It's the weirdest thing ever, I'm pretty sure. Let me find the exact reply.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't need to see the exact reply. I believe you. I don't think you're lying. It's interesting. I guess it speaks to like how certain pros see each other, you know? Because, a lot of people I spoke to seem to think that Queasy would do it in their shoes, which, again, I don't know how fair or unfair that is. Either way, it was weird as well, because even after Queasy dies, like, Merstach, like, tries to, like, they're trying to, like, commit to the res, and it's just, like, not really the play.
Not on height, guys.
Yeah, like, it's not the play at all in that situation, but it's fair enough why they tried. Honestly, really good guns for them. They came 5th. I left this weekend thinking they're the second best team in the EU.
I agreed.
I see that, absolutely.
And I also thought, the second best team in the EU, but could easily be the best if they,
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know, another what if. You know, we so many
Yeah,
what ifs.
yeah.
Half this podcast is what ifs, I would say at this point. But you know,
Yeah.
could easily be the best.
That's how you know you have a good grand final, though, low-key.
Mm.
We'll do a couple more E teams and move on to NA. Pixx, Darm, and Demus playing in their first major finals, breaking the record for a new trio in EU playing in their first major finals that was held by Kefi, Melody, and PKR.
Another Polish team.
And they were being helped by PKR. One of them tweeted after the tournament. They tweeted him in like their 5th place tweet. So he helped them break his record. Probably didn't even know he had that record, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think many people knew about that record until I searched for it. What do you guys think of their performance? Unreal for a new team in Grands.
A
Bosses.
A plus. I mean, yeah, your first grand finals to play with as much confidence and as much aggression as they did throughout it. And I think, Levin, you've spoken about it before, but to say, like, there's a lot of people who would just go Polish team, you know, Polish team,
Trios.
not aggressive, but they are just fighters and they do just play incredibly well. And it is incredible to watch. And honestly, I kind of hope, because obviously we will probably get into, you know, the other Polish team who maybe didn't do as well, but I hope they stick together. Pixx, Demus, and Darm. I hope they do, because I want to see where they can go now they have this experience from this season, winning a divisional finals, coming 5th in grand finals. You know, from here moving forward, I feel like there's a lot more they could do, and they have a landing spot which hopefully they can keep claimed, which obviously is always nice going into the year, but. Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see new teams on the block and not being scared to fight. And yeah, it was just a joy to watch for sure.
I've never been more confident in a new team to top 5 than this team, right?
Yeah.
Which is weird because like there were kind of nobodies going into this first season. I think they came into chapter 6 with like 2,000 earned each or something. Demus has like 45k now in that point, probably a little bit more because of grand finals. I haven't actually checked up on it, but like it's actually ridiculous how quickly they've integrated into the top echelons of EU Fortnite competitive. Honestly, I don't really remember much of their games, if I'm being honest. They just silently slip through the end games and then they're just like in the top 5, like, oh shit, there they are, man. They're popping off. But yeah, well played. Absolutely A+ performance from them.
Before you go, Harry,
Yeah,
a reminder to everyone that listens to this show that Coach Harry, our Coach Harry, was the first one to tell everyone, have them on your radar. These guys are the real deal. So next time you're ever questioning Coach fucking Harry's knowledge, just know he's got eyes that can see beyond what your eyes can see.
He's deep in the VODs.
I'm
He's
deep
in the VODs.
Yeah, there you go. 11-2K, part-time broadcaster, part-time lawyer for me. I respect it, appreciate it. But no, like, the one thing I want to say, like, about their gameplay, I need to go back and watch it more, but from what I watched on the broadcast, it felt like they were just fighting around them, fighting in Storm, and then they get to first moving with 30 builds each. They were never really, like, below Surge, but their endgames, again, as a very common thing, is like it felt like they were very scuffed, but they were making a lot of them, right? And their raw like skill and the mechanical and their fighting, and you know, Rishi made a good video on Demus as well, which showed a lot of that they can just box fight their way out of a lot of problems and get a lot of refreshes. So as I said, like it's not like you're watching a Polish team and you're scared that if they're scuffed going into endgame, they're gonna have bad games. If they're scuffed going into endgame, it's not a problem. They will get refreshes, they will fight teams, and they will get deep into endgames, even if they don't have the perfect mid game.
Yeah, I mean, I could meat ride these guys for a long time. They're absolutely nuts, right?
But you already did.
I know exactly. I've got 13 minutes of that on my YouTube channel already, right? But one of the things I actually found really interesting was, Levin, your point on the broadcast a lot was this really lazy comparison to call them like, well, you know, like the Kami-Setty, they're just a new Kami-Setty and Teak, blah blah. And what I found really interesting is that I feel like these guys are what we want Kami-Setty and Teak to be, right? Or their new version of that, right? Because like if you, well, you know, we're referring back to previous trios rather than being Charry, right? So you know where. You know, you think about how they played back then and like positional awareness, phenomenal, surge plan, strats, all this kind of stuff. That's all the things you associate with them, and then you go, they can't fight. I feel like when you just look at Demus's team, it's like you just have all that shit plus fighting ability and like plus the ability. So like the comparison's definitely lazy to say that, but I feel like it's not the laziest if you actually say, hey, but they can also just frag out at any point. The one thing I will say about these team that I think is going to be very important to see next season will they ever be conned because like these guys have just bossed anyone who's been around them off spawn, whether it was like obviously in groups that we saw before, with them bossing the French team, or now anyone around them, like any fight they got into, really, it just didn't really seem like a problem. There was one game they were fighting Pixx team and someone else's team in Storm in their drop spot, and that was one of those games where it was like they have 10 builds, and then I think they came second that game or something like that from one of the worst spots of all time. They just wipe a team in Storm, get all 3 elims, all 3 refreshes, and like chill out after that. I wonder if any team's going to be looking at these guys and be like, right, if we're going to contest anyone, is it really going to be them?
I don't know, but I think that will depend on like their drop spot selection moving forward. I think that's one thing you also always have to give Cammy and Setty credit for. They were able to always pick spots that were really good for how they played, that wouldn't like attract the eyes of like other good players, you know, for like the longest time. And I feel like if Demus and Pixx and Darm obviously in trios, I feel like if they can do that, where like, because there's a part of, they're good enough to where they could try and alpha like a really good spot on the map. Like a very obviously
risky,
good
though.
spot on the map. But it's risky. And it's like, is it worth that? Because I feel like you can just sort of skate on by if you're them. And so I will see what happens next season, I guess. It is, right? It is, but it's also not a spot that like all of the boogers of the region are like, looking at, like, okay, let's land here, right? So it's like keep picking spots like that and like sort of skating by, unconning grands, and they could build a special resume for sure.
Yeah, and again, if they keep choosing spots that are awful to fight at, like Pumped, people will be like, okay, do I want to fight this team? A drop spot that's like 30 chests or something like that. Probably not. That'll take a lot of time. So if they keep choosing those drop spots going forward, like super impressed. Interesting to see where they'll go.
Hey, they showed they can fight any POI in heats. You know, get them a Lost Lake. You know, where you know they can fight anywhere they
Cammy
like.
and Setty, really, because
Yeah,
they probably win at this point. Yeah. Bloody hell, what a great grands for them. I'm gonna jump some teams here. Mongraal, Savage, Panzer. What grade are we giving these guys? It's an obvious A+ for me, man. Obvious A+.
Yes and no for me here.
Oh, it's good.
There's a part of me that's okay. First of all, I put them in top 10. I think it was an easy top 10 seeing their progression. I thought like uncontested, as long as they make every single end game as a trio, which was the number one issue, no problem. They have good end games. But there's a little part of me again for this team. We're talking about the what if, and there's so many games that I feel like, and I'm not a coach. I don't analyze the game at that level anymore. But I just feel like it is in my game.
You got to rebrand, mate.
I do rebrand. Yeah, VP Boop doesn't really fit though. I feel like there were games, especially after the first day win in day number 2, where I feel like they were just point flipping heights, and I don't really like that. Right? There were games where they had. I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're fighting against Queasy. There were 2 games. They were just on height, randomly in like second moving zone, and they were making game-winning plays, and you got to respect it in that situation. But at the same time, I feel like when they have a lot of mats, I feel like I'm a bitch. You know, I like if you have a lot of mats, play mid ground and play it safe, and just try to milk the placement because the kills and the placements will come to you. But if you like TP high ground and 50-50, even in some situations where the zone isn't actually good for it, I feel like there could have been so much more. Even though 8th is just a really good performance for them, considering the what we've seen from them this season. I'm just like, man, I feel like they could have top 5 this, like very likely if they just didn't do those height takes in day 2. But,
So
you know, fucking great, love them.
I was going to go like A-, and then you've actually pushed me up to an A+, because well played for going for height every game, you know? Fuck all this pussy shit, right? You know, when you're Mongraal and Savage, right, what's the point of like, oh, let's get a 5th place, Like, who the fuck cares? Who cares? Like, you know, at this point, just go for height, you know, you're already far behind, you've got to catch up somehow. You know, there is another world where a lot of these height takes could work, it's all about mechanical skill, and these fights could work out, and they could have won 2 or 3 games in day 2, and then we'll be talking about, oh, these height takes, how incredible these height takes were, and fuck it, it's the right play, you know. If you're playing to win, you're not playing to not lose, you're not playing scared. Like, I respect that completely. There's so many teams in finals lobbies who maybe place higher, or maybe just aren't shown as much, who just do ride out the mid grounds. When they get the god mats, they're like, oh my god, I got the god mats, we can't milk this now. It's like, they know they got god mats. They are willing to make the risks, which is going to, in future FNCSs, hopefully, if they stick together, that's the whole, if they're going to stick together, what's happening with Mongraal. hopefully this is experience where it's like, okay, they're not scared to make these plays. Future FNCSs will be good.
Yeah. We know Boop's a bitch. That's all that matters, right?
What a quote.
No, yeah, that's a quote. Someone, wait, Cluck, get on that. Right. Just clip that one sentence and tweet that. There you go. One thing I think is interesting about them was also just like, you know, I'm a stats merchant. You know me. You know, we saw. I think KXR posted them afterwards. And firstly, Panzer, what an aimer, to start with. He was absolutely fragging out. Like, he played like a tier 1 player in terms of like mid-game damage and IGN and all that kind of stuff. It is interesting that, you know, we don't know the full context, don't know the full story, if Mongraal is going to be fully leaving or whatever, and it seems like they have fully split as a trio. I would actually be interested in understanding the conversation that happened there, because, you know, he did fall behind. He seemed not like a Grands level player in comparison to like the caliber of his team. Despite the fact, obviously, they placed 8th and did really, really well. Most of the deaths were him first. Obviously, a lot of the damage didn't come from him either. Panzer and Savage, a lot of the heavy lifting. So I'd be interested in actually seeing what happens next with this team going forward after this. Because, like, who do they pick up as their third? You know, Vadeal's coming back. That would be kind of a cool trio, potentially. I think, like, you know, this is not... I think they go up from here, is what I would say.
Yeah,
scary.
So the thing is, so okay, I'll address the Mongraal splitting thing first, because yeah, for people who are listening who maybe somehow missed it, after the tournament, after everyone settled down a bit, Panzer tweeted looking for one with Savage. Savage tweeted like a picture of like him and Mongraal, and it's like it's been a good run or some stuff like that. More digging was done, and essentially Mongraal's going on holiday for like a month or something, and so the assumption is they're not splitting. They just need one for one of the tournaments that Mongraal will probably miss because he'll be on holiday, is the assumption I think most people are now making. So edit 11 here, do not be alarmed. But as soon as we finished recording this episode, MrSavage went live and explained everything. And him and Mongraal have split. So there you go. You probably knew this already. But just letting you know, everything we say in the next couple of minutes doesn't matter and isn't even true anymore. Enjoy. So if you saw that and you're scared, like, no, they're splitting now. They're probably not splitting. They're probably going to split for one tournament. I feel like this is kind of just like a bit of content and drama farming and storyline farming, because they play the one tournament with whoever they pick up, they dud, and it's like, we need Mongraal back. And then he, magically appears.
What if they don't? What if they cook
the classic
tournament,
winning
though?
a tournament when your teammates on holiday.
You go,
the
honeymoon
Marius
phase.
situation. The Marius situation.
They definitely will as well, though, right? Like, they definitely will.
Hey, they were the first earnings of Chapter 6, They got that first season buff, so... The funny part about that was the progression of the Mongraal Updates Twitter account. They're like, guys, unfortunately, we're going to have to retire, guys. Thank you for all the great memories. I said, motherfucker, relax, first of all. Second of all, like, it's not even confirmed yet. The one thing about the Panzer thing, though, that scares me is, like, now people are like, holy shit, this Panzer guy's the real deal, And, like, when some of these guys, when some of these guys end up splitting, and then Panzer's got, like, an option, he's like, can I win an FNCS with these guys? Like, there's no saying whether or not he goes across. But at the same time, I have heard that Mongraal and Savage gave him their grand finals prize pool money. I don't know where this rumor came from, but someone said that in my chat, so I'm going to believe Boop and now chatter. Shout out to that guy. So
super
apparently
reliable.
that happened. Yeah, super reliable. So if that is the case, maybe they've bought his loyalty in this case. Because I think Savage always says, like, dude, we want to play as well because we want to give it to we want to make Panzer make a lot of money because, like, he's, in a situation where he's not, as fortunate as Mongraal and Savage, so.
Yeah, I mean, it also is on top of the whole, like, I'm pretty sure Panzer still live in Russia. You can't actually get his earnings, right?
I think I think Malibuca moved them out, no?
Oh,
yeah,
Malibuca moved them out after the Mr.
They
Beast
moved their
thing.
boy out the hood.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, no, I was going to back up your point because I remember watching a Mongraal clip where he said the exact same thing as Savage said, where he was like, I want to do well this season for Panzer. I want to get him good. I want him to make money for Panzer. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened, but yeah, I hope they stick together. And I mean, Panzer was also streaming that grand finals. He was also on a good, like, near 500 viewers. So it's like, obviously, nowhere near the level of Savage, nowhere near the level, but
when you were about to say that, I thought you were about to say, like, 5,000 viewers.
No.
He's got 500 views, bro. He's printing, man.
No, but, like, you have to understand, Mongraal and Savage are streaming. You're not getting any of their viewers. It's the whole, like, when they're not live, how many viewers will Panzer be on then, you know? That is where he'll be on it easily 5,000, probably, if they're not live, but... Yeah, I mean, it depends what he wants to do. If he really cares about building a brand and building that sort of stuff, you know, play with Mongraal and Savage, of course. And they still did really well this season. That's really good for Panzer.
That I think, though, makes it easier to stay because the problem always was, hey, do you want to play with these guys and build a brand and a career that way, or do you want to try and be a top pro? They can just do fucking both, clearly.
They're making globals, right? After this. Like, it feels like it's obvious.
They're placing, I don't think it is globals, but it's like, again, considering the fact that they were within reach of a top 5, that, like, they can call globals. It's not out of the realms of possibility if they improve and if they keep things up. So, yeah, no, really good finals for those 3. Super excited to see the future. And I think there will be a future to wrap that up for those 3. The last EU team we'll do, Setty, Charry, Cammy, finished in 21st place.
Stunk it up. Stunk it up.
Who's going to take the bullet?
I think it's time to go. You know, I think they've had a good run. I think they've had a good run. As I'm talking about Cammy and Setty playing together as well.
This is your Jamie Carragher clip. Leave the football before the football. Leave the Fortnite before the Fortnite leaves you.
But you actually look at their placements over the last year, Cammy and Setty together. They've had 1 good FNCS out of 5. And that is Cammy Setty, who is a team who is the most consistent team we've ever had on the region. They are the guaranteed top 5 team. No matter the meta, no matter the anything, they're going to top 5. If I quickly read you out there.
They were.
Yeah, that's what we thought they were. So read out their placements. 21st in this trios. And then we go to the globals, which was 23rd. Go to the FNCS before, was 48th. They got that 3rd, which got them to globals. And then before that was 33rd. So they have had now 4 out of 5 bad or mid FNCSs in a row. And for any other teammates who had never played together, that would be split. You would split. At that point, you would just split. And I think maybe it just needs an update. Maybe they both just need to try and weasel Demus, Pixx, and Darm and get pieces of them, you know. Setty gets a couple, Cammy gets a couple, you know, they get a couple from the trio. But yeah, I just think now the sort of playbook's been out there, contest them. You know, at the end of the day, I know Podside didn't do as well, but they won off spawn more. At the end of the day, they should have done more with those games. That's more down to Podside's ability, not their off spawn fighting. And it's just laid out there. Contest them off spawn. You will probably at least make it off spawn half or more than half most of the time. And it's just what you do with those games.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You make such a good point because I hadn't realized just how bad their FNCS record has been over the last 5. Like, what placement was Tayson getting last year where everyone was like, he's washed, he should pack it up
15th.
Let me see the sheet.
Tayson was getting 15th and everyone was like, die. and Cammy and Setty, it's like the meme, you know, of like, you know, like harassment versus flirting, that type of thing, you know? It's like coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb, like that type of thing, you know? It's like, these guys have had stinky placements to where most other players have their placements. And like you said, either if you're not having a conversation of are they just dudded, washed, you're saying 100% they split. Of course, there's always context you can add that maybe makes it feel not as bad. But for the most part, it does. Every day it feels closer and closer to the point where I'm like, this is the end of this beautiful marriage of me and Setty. Maybe it should be. It was so interesting as well with the off-spawn things. What was the score on day 2? What did it actually end at in their favor? Was it 4-2 or 4-1?
I will let you know.
There was a lot of dips and disengages that day, was there not? So.
The reason was because I wanted to draw the parallel on the broadcast, but by the time I realized it was too late and it just wasn't relevant because they were both just shit. But remember back in Chapter 3, Season 3, when Podesai and Xwiz contested Tayson and Chapix at a lake POI, Loot Lake at the time. And day one, it was tasting them that won 5-1. Then the next day, it like reversed, and like the other guys, beat them back. And I was like, wait, we're seeing the exact same thing happen again. It's reverse for Pollo side X Squeeze this time. This time for day one, they dominated. Day two, they get reverse swept. But yeah, that was just an interesting parallel I'd noticed from my memory of FNCSs.
Day two was 4-2, by the way, to the Khanad.
So that's what it was for Pollo side X Squeeze on day two in chapter 3. So literally reversed. Wow.
7-5? No, they won 5-1 day one, no?
Yeah. Like, 5-1, and then it was 4-2 to Cammy.
So 9 fucking...
No, 4-2 to Cammy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 7-5.
I just...
a win.
The problem here is, like, you are never uncontested ever again at this point. Like, ever. It's like, if you're a team who needs to land somewhere, you're like, well... I might as well go and Cammy say at some point if they're sticking together, because like out of all of the top level teams, you just know they're going to do bad if you call them. Quite frankly, you know that they're not the best off spawn fighting team, and it's like at this point it's slightly concerning how consistently they are losing off spawn to teams who are like not doing well in the leaderboards either. And it's funny because it's like outside of that, they've had a phenomenal season. You know, you look at the placements they had in the divisional cups, and they were incredibly good. As soon as they got a fight off spawn, it all just like crumbles and all falls apart. So I imagine they put a lot of work into off spawn fighting and trying to get better in those positions and everything this season, but it's like it didn't pay off that well.
Yeah. And to back up contesting them, it's like, Cammy and Setty are going to pick a spot that's good for Surge. They're not going to pick a bad spot on the map. They're always picking a god spot for Surge. Just like, we just copy their strat, and we know they're going to be having a good spot. They know it's a good spot. Like, we'll just guarantee to have a decent idea of what to do. But I mean, it's sad, it is just sad because, as we've all talked about, they were the guaranteed top 5 team. They were the team that, you'd always like, maybe they'll win this one. Maybe they'll win this one. But now it's like, I don't even know. But they've had a good season, as you said. They have had a good season.
You know the first Div finals where they conned those guys and like bossed them completely? I can't remember which way it was. It might have been week 2 or week 3. So I was on holiday for that one, right? So I missed it. So I didn't know until much later in the season that they were doing so well off spawn against those guys. So I think I made a video on this channel about like, I did like a preview of like a weekly final or something. I think the last weekly final. And I previewed it in favor of squeezing them. Because naturally in my brain, without checking the score, I was like, it was Cammy and Setty, so they must have been losing. Yeah. And I remember I got flamed by people in the comments that were like, bro, they've been dominating, mate. It's a new Cammy and Setty, like, they're good off spawn now, mate. Like, you don't even fucking know. And I'm like, sorry? The 1 week I missed was the week where they apparently changed all their Fortnite history. And now I'm like, a part of me is like, my gut instinct was right to think they would get bossed, even though they did good all season. It's like, a lot of people, even again, I don't even want to give stuff like this attention, but when we did our video last week and we put them in, I think we put them in like A or B category or something. I don't even know where we put them. It wasn't a disrespectful place to put them. And I got so many DMs from just Polish drones like, you guys are so delusional, you know nothing. Do me a fucking favor, man. Just do me a favor.
The thing is, though, the games that they did make endgame weren't even that bad, though. Maybe I feel like we're kind of overreacting on like, oh my god, they should split. This is purely a spawn fight situation that's stinking them here, right? Because the games they made endgame are 3rd, 1st, 7th, and then they died mid-game in 19th, and that was the only endgames they made. The other ones were all like 2 minutes death, 8 minute deaths, 5 minute deaths. There's no other games that they were as bad in it. So like, the endgames are actually pretty fucking good anyways as a trio. It just, they sneak it up on spawn, unfortunately. So, funnily enough, there's some insider information here. They actually have another Joss spot prepared for this grand finals. And it was actually Canyon. They wanted to go Canyon at one point. Unfortunately, the situation with Shock, Ju, and Ziandi meant that they probably couldn't go there, but they had Canyon prepared in case X3's made grand finals. And if Shark didn't make it, maybe we'd be talking about a whole different thing here because they wouldn't have landed here. But that's so it's like they weren't even that confident either, I guess.
But it's like Reset. You make a fair point, Boop, absolutely. But it's like Reset, where it's like they now will and probably just should always be con.
Yeah,
which is every single time. Like they had a good season. You're right. Even this season when they were con, they did really well. And it's like, they had great results. There was a point in the season where I think most people would have said they were like the 2nd or 3rd best team in the region, right? So it's not, I don't think it's splitting from the sense of like, this is completely a dud now. of a team because it's not, and they showed that this season it's not, and they showed even within the grands that they can still be good. It's just the problem of like you're in a rut when it comes to like your major one or your grand finals performances, and at this point, the only way to maybe get out of that rut and lose the like stench of being bad off spawn is just splitting. But yeah, we'll see.
I was going to quickly say I'm going to interrupt this time, but
go for it.
I was going to say that like what like I'm even just looking through now because I was interested, like, because you're saying like they've had a good season, and they have, you know, in consideration of like what we're talking about now. But it's like even some of the seasons that they dudded, you know, that we've talked about before, they were doing well in those seasons as well in cash games. Not as well as this season, but they were still doing well in those. It feels like it comes to grand finals and something changes. I don't know what, but yeah, I don't know. It's a really weird situation where, yeah, if you literally take a screenshot of the first 4 weekly finals, you're like top 2. You take a screenshot of the last weekly finals and like the rest of and the end of it, it's like, well, they should split for sure, right? And yeah, it's interesting to say that you had they had like they had Canyon prepared. I do think they could have landed there. The way that Shark plays it, it's not uncounterable. It's hard to play for sure, but if they were really that scared of spawn, then
I mean, you just know Shark would have fucking W-keyed the hell out of them every game.
Yeah,
though.
but every time that team keys, they die. I swear, like every time I watch them in Storm, they just die.
They were so bad in this final.
Yeah, it was like, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that, as you said, like this, as you said, Levin, like you have this stigma now that you are bad off spawn, you have to split. No matter what, you are just contested, you just have to split. Like even if you think you're good enough to win an FNCS.
Yeah.
Also, I was just gonna. I know Boop made the point like 10 minutes ago, but I was just gonna say when the games they did that were good is like I don't think we ever really would have expected the games they won off spawn to be bad.
Yeah.
And they kind of played exactly as predicted when they did manage to get off spawn. Like all those games are very Cammy and Setty level games. It's just that they just didn't get enough of them, and that was it.
I mean, compare it to Queasy. Compare it to Queasy contested off spawn as well, and it's like I don't think anyone would say Queasy's the best fighter in the world, but he plays with 2 good fighters. He's good off spawn. He's always been good off spawn, and it doesn't matter if he's contested. He still gets a good placement.
Last thing I'll say on this, I guess, before we move on to NA, is the problem we felt like we had with Cammy and Setty is that they didn't get enough kills to compete to win anymore because all the other good teams now are so fraggy that they now have such good game plans where they can be as consistent as Cammy and Setty and just outfrag them, right? That was like the problem we sort of had at the start of this year. Now, we can't even guarantee that Cammy and Setty will get 12 games to be their consistent selves, and now the other teams are more consistent than them and outfragging them. I think you just need to find a new formula.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what's the grade?
Oh yeah, we didn't give a grade. Who's doing it? Go on.
C.
C. Okay. Oh
wow.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, C, yeah.
D.
I think it has to be a D. It can't be anything other than a D.
D for dud. Move on.
D for dud. Move on. D for dud and move on. Oh boy. What a shame. What a bloody shame.
Shout out to M8.
Shout out to M8.
I want to be safe on the streets of Lyon, you know? Like.
Yeah. I want to be safe. All right, on to NA. The winners, Ajerss, Acorn, Pollo. What a final, man. Congrats to the boys.
Reese is yawning.
I'm so happy. He's fallen asleep again.
Yeah, you mentioned NA, just instantly yawned.
You fall asleep during NA. How?
Okay, so how I fell asleep during NA was it was game 9 or 10, one of those two. And at this point in the leaderboard, Ajerss was like 100 and something of points ahead. Like they're already good ahead. They were set up well, and I saw Peterbot die in like 4th zone, and I was like, it's over. So like it's Peterbot's not gonna win here. I see it, and I was already like, for the last hour, I was like, my eyes are going. And I was lying in bed watching on the TV, and I was like, my mom's so fucking comfy right now. My eyes are going. And I sat and I thought, is this really going to be a good last 2 games? Like, is it worth staying up the other hour where I'm already going to fall asleep? Turns out it was. So I missed the only interesting NA finals ever, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. He always finds a way to just dig into NA. Like, as soon as I think, like, oh wow, like Reese actually giving us props.
I was giving props. It was good. It was good. I full respect to that. I mean, I will talk about the bottom half of the leaderboard later, but
I don't think we should talk about the bottom half of the leaderboard because I don't think there's
much to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
anyway.
that's the problem.
All right, Ajerss, Acorn, Pollo. It's gotta be an A+ for me. We talked in the pod about them last week. You know, I remember you guys felt like you guys were almost gonna put them in B. And I understand why. And I said last week, like, we weren't seeing that spark from them, right? Like, I think I said it last week when we were doing our predictions. Like, on paper, this is the most obvious team to compete against Peterbot's trio, right? In terms of you have Acorn, one of the best, if not the best IG on the region. You have Pollo and Ajerss, two of the best fraggers, two people who, again, in theory, could come close to the levels that Peterbot and Cold could produce, or like at least the closest, right? And then they actually clicked in the finals, right? I'm not gonna. I understand why people had their concerns about them going in, because even though they had done good in the set lobbies, there was something that felt like it was missing. Sometimes you can't predict and account for like a team just locking the fuck in grand, you know, and like actually like fixing up. Acorn did move to back into the dig house, right? So he was back on 0 ping, and was feeling more confident.
Motherfuckers don't know about 0 ping Acorn,
They don't know about 0 ping. The 0 ping IGLs always start moving crazy, man. Shout out to Queasy and Acorn. Ajerss played at an unbelievable level.
Yeah.
Like so this season I watched a lot of them, like their tournaments. Even back when they were playing with Khanad, and then when they switched over, like I would be in call with them during some of the NA evals and stuff like that. And the whole time, like I just remember just constantly being impressed with Ajerss as a player. And he's one of this whole team is made up of like the forgotten about people, you know, within their team, and that's like the thing everybody was running with, you know, like everyone gave Cold the props, everyone gave Pollo or Peterbot the props, everyone gave Khanad the props, and him and Ajerss won. And it's like, Ajerss is so good. Like, so good at the game, so smart as well, to where like he sort of like acts as like a second caller in the team, or like he like helps give info to Acorn and like helps, you know, sort of like vet decisions and whatnot. It's like the guy is just unbelievably good. Pollo showed the Pollo levels from before he even played with Peterbot, which I think people forget. And people forget that before he started playing with Peterbot, he was one of the best fraggers in the region and was like top 5 in every grand and was like getting like some of the most kills and most damage in every single grand. And he sort of went back to that level. This team just makes so much sense, and I'm glad they figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say some of the stats. You know, like we're looking at them, and I was just looking through their placements, and they've got 2 games outside the top 6. They've got average elims of 8, and those 2 games are 8th and 13th, right? So it's not like they're full duds games. And I mean, just watching them in the last game, and we will talk a lot about that last game, but them going on height when they know they're in the lead, and all like you just need to get deep into the end game. You don't need to win the game. You get deep enough into the end game, you will. That is the game you go mid ground to be a pussy. That is the game, you know, when it's a when when you do the bootstrap. But literally, like they go on height, they don't give a fuck. They're just like, we're gonna win this game. We're gonna try and go on height. Obviously, they end up getting keyed for it, but I just love watching them play. I actually thought it was just incredible seeing how they played for Surge, and the confidence they had, and you know, no one really like expects them to win, obviously, and we'll talk about why no one expects them to win in a minute. But yeah, it was just, as you said, Ajerss, incredible. Same as you, Levin. I had never really taken note because, again, I always kind of just looked at Khanad and the way he played, and he is just an incredible player. The surge he was getting, the damage he was putting out, the refreshes he was finding, like
the clutches.
The
God,
clutches,
the Ajerss clutches. What Nah, man. Fucking, if it wasn't for another person playing like fucking Jesus, Ajerss would be the clear and obvious MVP of the grand. Like the clutches to just keep them alive and keep them in first the last couple games. Oh man.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I was watching this in a call with people who are just the biggest Peterbot fans. Seeing Pollo win did put a smile on my face. I can't lie. I was very happy about it.
You hate watching. I would say how it is.
Yeah. But No, I think, yeah, people are starting to like actually contextualize how insane Pollo's been. Like actually looking at how he's been, and obviously everyone talks about Peterbot, but like actually looking at, he is the best NA Central player, like placements-wise there's been. Apart from the Peterbot, when playing with Peterbot, he got a 5th and a 3rd in the other 2 grands. So he is just the best NA Central player there's been since it's turned to NA Central. Well, it depends if you obviously eye test or whatever, but it is just incredible to see. And yeah, I mean, just for once, as you said, Reese, interesting NA finals, and I mean the rest of NA is going to be exciting to watch throughout the year because of these 2 teams.
So my rating for this trio was going to be an A-, and then Ajerss gets an S+ because he's the one that carried that shit. So now the thing is, the thing is about this trio is like the reason why no one really put much stock into them is because there's nothing like. You look at this trio, there's nothing like special, right? Like they're like 3 very solid players, very solid tier 1s, but like they don't have that factor. But that factor this grand finals was obviously Ajerss with his solo clutches that carried a lot of the times. And I just know that looking at this, I mean, is Pollo just considered the best player in the game now? Like, is it just confirmed, or how much more does he need to do in the region to be given even more flowers in this situation, right? Because he's still compared to Peterbot, but he still has, now he's got the record of 4 FNCSs in a row that he's won in NA Central, which, is the most anyone's won in a row, except if you look at Brazil, which
we're not looking at Brazil.
We unfortunately are not looking at Brazil. So 4 in a row, like how much further can we get as this trio?
5 in a row.
Question.
Let's go for 5. Come on,
Let's go
boys.
for 5.
Fucking
Let's get
5.
6. Let's just do the 6th time. It's interesting because like I don't really want to. This is not the time for us to get into debates.
No,
so we're not going to do that. But you saying A- to them, I don't. I think that's you saying A- to them and then S tier to.
That was just that's what. That was just a joke.
Yeah,
a ritual.
Oh, sorry. Definitely ritual. For ages, even I know you're joking, but even as a joke, I'm vehemently saying you're wrong because I think Acorn as an IGL just was unbelievable for them. And funnily enough, Pollo was the person I was least impressed with in the team.
It's just in this least impressed gimmick. It's just
we literally just saw a video of him having solo clutch and 8 eliminations on screen.
No, but similar to how it was for me, at least. I know some people really like felt like Pollo was like getting carried or whatever, which I never really felt that way. But similarly to how it was with Peterbot, even though he's the least impressed, it doesn't mean I'm not impressed. It's just because the other 2, I was so far beyond impressed with my expectations. Like Pollo did everything I expected Pollo to do. He was unbelievable. He's Pollo. Like again, you're
just
right.
A hater. You're just a hater. Like
Acorn wins 1v2 fight, and all of a sudden, dude, Acorn's the best man.
No, Acorn did play, but I think they all equally played well.
Absolutely.
I was just joking because it's like the whole Pollo is just the least impressive in the team again. Like
What
it's
a guy,
just the whole
man.
gimmick.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not least impressive. That's not the way to say it, but it is the way to say it. You know,
It is
but
what
it's
you
like
mean.
That's the way you said it, though.
You did say it that
it's
way,
not a good way to say it. Either way, people are gonna like hang on to that now. Every single, if I was grading each individual player, every single one of them gets an A+. Absolutely.
But less A+ for Pollo.
Not less A+ for Pollo.
In particular,
More A+ for Ajerss.
Oh, you can't remember his name.
Because I keep thinking of Ritual, because we're gonna talk about Ritual. A+ for that trio, unbelievable. So happy for those guys. They bossed it. Now on to the next team. Ritual, Cold, Peterbot.
Gulp.
Can I finally say the thing? Can I finally say the thing, Levin? Do I have permission?
You actually can finally say the thing.
I
Go
can
on,
say
take it away.
Peterbot underperformed. His trio underperformed. Yes! Not yes, but like, yes! I can say it now and you guys will agree.
I mean, I don't know if I'm going to agree Peterbot underperforming.
Peterbot didn't underperform.
His trio as a cumulative did, yes.
I mean,
So
I
okay,
think we're gonna get into a long discussion, but I'll throw out my C grade and we'll move along. And we'll keep going. We'll move along.
So this trio gets a C for me. Peterbot gets an A+.
Yeah.
Cold gets a B. Ritual unfortunately gets a D, and that balances out in my head as a C for them.
Letter maths. We're not going to argue with it.
Yeah.
We're never
no,
going to
you
get
can't
Ritual
argue
back
that,
on the
man.
I won't
podcast,
argue
man.
with
Yeah,
letter
you
math.
can't
Yeah.
argue letter math.
I think
Give me
Cold
the
and Ritual are
analysis, then.
closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the analysis, Levin. Hit me with the individuals
Okay.
because you're.
So Peterbot was the reincarnation of fucking
Jesus Christus.
Fortnite
Yeah.
Jesus.
just
Yeah.
Fortnite Jesus.
This was legit hacks. This is what legit
Yeah,
hacks
no.
is,
He
isn't
was
it?
full raging. Like he was full rage hacking. Like it was just like, but it's cool. It's Peterbot, so we can just let him get away with it.
Yeah.
Like levels again that I just like every time I'm like, I just can't believe these levels are possible. Then he keeps doing it. So Peterbot A+, best player in the final, best player in the lobby, best player in the world, best player ever. Cold, I wanted to give Cold a C, but I'm gonna say B. The thing about Cold that was quite disappointing for me, and I think everybody will agree, there's no reason why I should have left this weekend feeling like Peterbot needed more help. Like that's how I felt. Did you ever think that Peterbot playing with Cold, you'd be like, oh, Pete needs more help, man. He's playing all alone here. You know what I mean?
More firepower he needs.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how is that like a genuine, like valid feeling that I'm feeling right now when it comes to this trio? Cold was good at times, and he, did a lot of the Cold things you expect of like getting the frags and whatnot. But sometimes he was just really bad as well, and he was just letting the team down. So in fact, yeah, I'm gonna give him Cold a C. And then Ritual, I feel bad for Ritual, and I don't want to add to the hate.
He feels bad for him, I think, as well.
Yeah, but Ritual's getting like Ritual's probably getting like death threats and shit. So I don't want to be too negative and add to that. But he just played bad. He just let the team down. It's weird because I think now a lot of people are gonna see Ritual as like this guy who can't handle the bright lights and like this choker, right? Where I didn't think that'd ever be a problem with him. I know EWC is different, but in EWC he was the overall favorite and he stepped up for his team. He was unbelievable for his team in EWC. He didn't, he didn't fear the bright lights. He didn't fear the stage at all. So I'd really love to like speak to him and like figure out where like it was just going wrong for him. But he just was dying a lot. I was looking at numbers after Grand, and this number's like not the most important numbers, but like I was looking at damage ratio, and
how dare you say that's not the most important number? That's all that matters.
It's all
That's
the
all I'm
number,
fighting
right?
for.
Yeah.
So of all the players in the top 10, like as in all the top 10 trios, out of all those players, Ritual had the lowest damage ratio.
Damn.
He was like to the point where it's like he had a damage ratio that was like barely above 1, whereas like everyone else in the top 10 is like way above that, like 1.3 plus, like just way better. I know KXR put out like his like rating system that he has or whatever, and it looked terrible for Ritual and those numbers. So like just every number, every way you point and look at it, it just was bad. And I think he kind of messed up by being like, after day 1, being like, yeah, guys, that was on me. Like, I sucked today. Because then I just feel like it just adds extra pressure on him for the next day as well. Where it's like, you've already set that standard of like, this is all my fault and we are bad. And then it just didn't get better. I thought it was going to get better because in the first game of day 2, Peterbot dies and those two clutch up, Cold and Ritual clutch up. And I'm like, okay, we're going to bring it back.
Yeah.
And then the next game, they're both dead and Peterbot's clutching. It's like, okay, back to normal then.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to come to like Ritual's defense on a couple of things. Just like people are taking stats just out of context and going, "This is why he's bad." Like builds play, someone's going builds place. He's an IJ to build more play. You should place more builds. If he's not making end games, he's not going to be placing builds. So he's not going to be placing any builds. How the fuck is he going to have more builds placed than the guy who's solo clutching? But yeah, it was just it was a weird situation. I do think Cold's underperformance is kind of going under the radar. You compare Ritual's comments on his tweet to Cold's comments on his tweet, and it's like Cold's played like Peterbot and Ritual's played like me. Like this is what I feel like we're looking at the moment. But I generally do just think it was underperformance from both of them. It's interesting to hear. So Peterbot was on Khanad's stream yesterday before the Solo Cash Cup talking about it. And he said they're probably not going to split. And he said, and obviously the probably is important, but he says he doesn't see if it's worth it or not. He needs to speak to Raz first about it. But he said he's probably not going to split.
There's no one else left.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
At that level, so.
There is no one else. But yeah, I think...
What, you mean he's not flying to EU to replace Flickzy?
Yeah.
Vico, Veno? No?
He did put water into the fire of that rumor, you know. He said that's not happening at any time soon. But yeah, I mean, it was just... I mean, every time, like, Ritual did die first a lot, but there were a lot of times, like, I remember in Game 11, like, he watched it back on stream, I think Khanad did, and it was like, oh, like, Ritual's died first before the Peterbot clutch, but what's actually happened is Ritual and Peterbot have voided together, and Cold has voided 500 meters into Storm, and they're trying to save him, and they've been preempted in the back, and Ritual's died for it. That's not Ritual's fault, but on the broadcast, all you're going to see is, oh, Ritual's dead in the box again, it's his
It's
fault
dead again, man. God damn it, yeah.
There's just a lot of times where I just don't feel like Cold really, as you said, how could you ever expect to come out of this final thinking that Cold, the man who, like, people with even some people, I spoke to some people before, obviously globals, where it's like, maybe Cold is just better than Peterbot. Like, maybe it's just it's Acorn's fault, you know, that Cold isn't performing to the level he can, and that has also just underperformed. I'm scared for next season because I feel like this is just going to set up they're going to be playing so much to win, and I feel like this is either it's going to put even more pressure on them, or they're going to hit a record-breaking season, which they nearly even did this season with winning everything. But yeah, I mean, I agree with basically everything you said. 11 ratings. I would give Ritual and Cold the same as a. Actually, I give Ritual and Cold the same as a C, like maybe Ritual C minus, and I give Peterbot A plus. It is the highest individual performance we've seen since Global Championships, Peterbot, about 3 months ago.
It's like own records of like individual like playing at a crazy level. To
play devil's advocate here a little bit, Peterbot also wasn't perfect before late games, though. That's the thing. Like, his late games, immaculate, beautiful. But if you looked at some of the mid-game fights that they took as a full trio, Pete died first in like 2 or 3 of those in mid-game fights. Like, when is the first time you've ever seen Pete just getting caught out, you know? Some motherfucker just ran at him and he just instant-killed Peterbot like 2 times or 3 times in some of the games. So I hate to like only focus on Peterbot's positives and then everyone else's negatives, but he was also not playing to his level other than in late game where he fucking bossed the shit up. But I think there's a lot to blame here. I think, you know, Peterbot's early games deaths, Cold gets caught into late game, Ritual gets caught into late game. A lot of them had their fair shares of milks, which obviously if you die early game, it translates and it goes across the late game as well. So definitely not the performance of what we expected. Me personally, I haven't watched a single NA final yet, right? So I went into this tournament like, all right, let's see what this magic is of Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. And I'm like, oh, that's it? Like, what is these mid games? What's happening in these mid games? I was very disappointed. I thought there was more coming, even though they got second, you know, which is kind of crazy to say.
Yeah, I guess the thing I'd say then is like it's one of those problems of like, again, just like the unrealistic standards that one he has set for himself, but also just like it's never perfect. Even when we look at a team, like if you go back to EU, right, when you look at like the best fighting team there, like there were games when Veno, Vico, Flickzy especially as well at times weren't doing what you expect out of them in fights, right? Like it's I will never expect people to be perfect in that respect, especially because the nature of those two teams, like their playstyle relies on them taking a lot more risk, right? But you know, I hear what you're saying. On to the next team though. The curse finally broken. Clix, BatmanBugha, and Eomzo plays third. How do you guys feel about them? Where would you rate them based off of, or how do you rate their grands?
You say that this is a curse broken, but technically a third in trios is the same as like a fourth in duos. if you really actually think about it,
really look
actually
at it,
sixth.
If you
think about it,
really,
mathematically, I don't know if that works. But feeling wise, I do agree with you.
I think it's close as you could get to now third
without
place
coming
curse.
Fourth, but it's as close as fourth as you could get. You know? It's still
fifth isn't quite fourth, but like third in trios feels
He's
very
basically
fourth.
fourth in duos. So just putting that one out there.
Okay, but still, how would you rate them? Because I was really impressed, and I think they did a great job.
I don't have good analysis on them.
The one thing I will say is, so I was thinking about like the ratings I was going to give out for like the NA teams, and it did feel like very homogenous for me, in that like for a lot of them I felt like I'd end up saying the same things. The one thing I will say about these guys, I think I'll give these guys an A. I like the trajectory this trio is going on. I think people were probably overrating them beforehand.
Yeah.
Just out of like the hype. I know last week I said, are they going to move with that aura? You know, are they going to be that team that is super aggressive and you know, gets a bunch of kills? And they did that in a lot of games. They looked really clean on mid and low ground. I think Eomzo has established himself now as like, funnily enough, one of the best IGLs in the region. When it's like, it's bloody Eomzo talking about here. Honestly, it's not going to happen, right? But we're at the point where if you were going to try cook up, like, who would Peterbot try and play with, right? Like, what options are available? I don't think Eomzo is available, but that would be the name, right? I think if you're looking at, if you're going to let go of Ritual, because Ritual was the problem, even though I think he wasn't the sole problem, like the next best person I think to get would be Eomzo in terms of being able to IGL well while giving you great fragging ability, which he showed in the scrans. BatmanBugha and Clix I thought was great for them, man. Like, I think Clix has evolved as a player and he's gotten a lot better since playing with Veno, and he's improved in certain regards, and he's given this team, like, you know, when they lost Mason, I was like, who do they pick up that is like as fraggy and gives you that? And Clix definitely does, even more so. So yeah, I'd give these guys an A. I don't think anybody would disagree with me.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think I was gonna give my actual analysis now.
Yeah, give your actual analysis.
Yeah. I think like looking at their placements, they were in almost every single end game that there was. Actually, were they in every end game? I think they were in every single end game. Yeah, which
super
is
consistent. Yeah.
Firstly, one of the only teams that have, I'm sure, on every region to do that, which means you're right, Levin. Like, from an IGLN perspective, really good. It is just, as Harry alluded to a second ago, they just don't have the firepower of the top two teams. It's like, you can make every end game all you want, but you're not, you know, you're what, how many elims? They're probably like 30, 40 elims behind or something like that from second and third. And that's it.
34, you know? 34 behind first, and they are 46 behind second.
Yeah, it's like you're just not winning if you've got that. So really impressive in terms of just like game plan and stuff like that, but they just don't have the firepower that the top two teams have. So
yeah, they almost had half the elims of Ritual, Old, and Peterbot.
That is unreal.
Crazy. You get 66 kills, and you're like, that is a good final. So you're getting an average of 5.5 a game, which is good. You're not like going out of your way to get loads of kills, but you're getting a couple of kills, and you're getting some refreshes, and probably in some games you're getting a little bit deeper into endgame, and some you're not. But it's crazy because you look at this and I'm just sat here like, is this just as good as they can get? Like, because are they actually going to get another 50 kills on top of what they're getting and start, or are they going to get even more wins, which they have to get to be able to go further? And it's like, that is the standard that NA is at right now with like the top two teams. Is like, you have to put out the most ridiculous performance to be in contention, not even win, because Peterbot, Ritual, and God, we're talking about it. They're like just pure numbers and everything. Like 900 points, you don't even win the region. Like,
That's crazy.
That is insane.
We finally got the Fortnite equivalent of like City versus Liverpool, where you know you get like 99 points or whatever, and it's like you still can't bloody win. You know, it's like it is ridiculous.
I'd give them an A though, for sure. Give them an A, because it's like I didn't expect them. Honestly, I expect them to be like around 6th or maybe 6th to 5th. I think there were teams in my head going into it I thought were going to be better, and they did overperform what I thought. They were so consistent. They made every single endgame. They were what I expect. If Cammy and Setty were on COD, that's what they, obviously getting coached by BloodX and landing the same spot, but that's what I would have expected them to do. You know, to get 3rd place or 4th, you know, consistent every endgame, not a huge amount of kills. I say not a huge amount of kills. They're pretty close to Veno, Vico, and Flickzy's kills numbers on EU, but it's, I just think I'm excited to see what they do going forward. I wouldn't be worried going forward with how they're going to do. The game plan they have, and being a consistent team, it just means as long as you have some form of solid game plan, you will just consistently be around the top 5 every single season. So we should see them at globals.
They are the living embodiment of the BPS, the boop pussy strat. Because they're a team that just doesn't really take risks, right? the team that just makes end games and then they sort of make end games. That's it. And then they make end games and then they do well. And then the thing that I think definitely Clix adds to this trio is it adds that clutch ability factor, right? Like Eomzo's a solid player, BatmanBugha very solid player. There's not really like a spark or a starness to them other than the individual roles. But Clix adds that ability to solo clutch. And there were some games where he did and was able to solo clutch as well. So that definitely added to the value of that trio. But again, it's one of those teams that they did great. They got third place. Wonderful. But is there ever a world where they win an FNCS? I don't personally think so, looking at this team. I think third is pretty much the max they can get, or second if we have another milky performance from Peterbot. Because there was a point where they were, I think, like 20 points behind Pete, and then Pete just whips out the fucking... The last game clutch to get 15 kills by himself as a second place, right? And then that kind of shattered their dreams there. But honestly, great performance. But yeah, they don't have the cojones in those situations to make winning plays, I feel like.
There was a lot of games they did go for height, though, to be fair. There was a lot of games I saw them, I think it was in the last game, even in the Peterbot clutch game. I'm pretty sure I think it was either Khanad killed Clix or it was either Peterbot killed Clix on height. I can't remember, it was one of them, but they did go for height in that last game. There's like 4 of them going for height. And yeah, I don't know. I do think they do have the capability of winning games. It's just, yeah, as we've all said, the killing power, just the raw getting. I don't know. I don't think it's possible. Yeah. But still an incredible performance. Still technically 4th place in trios, in duos, as Reese said. So, yeah.
Because we got to stop talking about Nate. Reese is falling asleep.
Yeah.
He started sitting down. He's just yawning.
My light in front of me is so bright, it's annoying my eyes a ton. And it's like...
I'm actually just thinking about how crazy Acorn and them had to play to win this. You know? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Had to play nearly perfect. Like,
yeah.
It's weird because obviously they have Pollo, so what I'm about to say is going to sound like it doesn't make sense. But like when we watched a lot of the Peterbot wins last year with Pollo, a lot of it was like we're not going to see people win like this ever again, unless it's Peterbot. And then we saw someone win like Peterbot, but it wasn't Peterbot, but it still was kind of Peterbot because Pollo's in the team. But yeah, you get what I mean. All right, Vadeal, Cooper, Sphinx. This is an interesting one. I feel like with Pix's trio, this trio, Vadeal's trio, and then
Muz
Japko Rise, like those 3 for me was just like interchangeable. Like it was just going to be a combination of some ordering of those 3 on the leaderboard below 1st place. Was how I saw things going, and it went that way. I think for Vadeal, Cooper, and Sphinx, they won't be happy because in terms of like form, I think they were probably the most on-form team outside of Peterbots. And yeah, couldn't quite get it done.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you said everything. Like they were just going in second. I think did we put them second in our ranking? I'm pretty sure we did.
We put them in A tier. We put all these teams in A tier. We put Clix in A tier. We put Vadeal in A tier. We put Muz, Rise, Japko in A tier.
And we did put Pollo in A tier. I think we put Khanad in B.
Yeah, we put Khanad in B.
Yeah, but basically just everything you've said and more. Like, they were just the on-4 team. Obviously, there was the Surge trading thing, with MPen, and MPen didn't make grand, so people actually were like, are they going to get all their Surge? How are they going to do? But, yeah, they just made... They did well. Again, it's crazy because you actually look at the match history of all the teams in the top. They all just made every endgame. It's crazy to look at. Like, they also made, I think, 11 out of 12 endgames, or 12 out of 12, apart from even game 1, they got somewhat into endgame, right? And you look at that, and it's like, watching EU, it's like, that's not normal.
This is what I told you guys, and you weren't listening to me. When I said to you guys, NA is... The only thing about NA that I find fun throughout the season to watch is the fact that it's so top-heavy. Like, those 7 teams are so much better than everybody else in the region, that it means that every endgame of these finals tournaments is just all those teams in endgame every single game.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the different like combinations, and the mid game is very boring. I'll be very honest with you.
The early game when no good teams contested.
Oh no! Oliver G versus Noah W plays. Are you serious? After seeing Cammy versus Akira, bro. Oh my god.
But no, like the end games at NA are fun for that reason alone, and
you get to see the same teams.
Yeah, it was really funny just seeing how like the people talking like, oh yeah, like this is proof that NA is better, and I was like, I don't think you realize that's
I
not.
think-
Yeah, I don't really understand how that works.
I think that the bottom, well, it's basically from 8th to 10th. There's like a 225 point difference.
Yeah.
And it's like the bottom half is so much worse. Like, it's like, it must, I wonder, because I've said this a few times. When I spoke to someone from one of the players from the Middle East when they went to Invitational for the first time, I think it was, they were like, it's so easy to get Surge in our region because all the bad teams just fucking run about in the open like headless chickens, and you can just shoot them, right? When you play against good teams, obviously they play counters to that. And I wonder how much of the top, 7, 8 teams in NA are kind of having that same thing where you've got so many bottom level teams where like the mid game just becomes so easy to get tags on them because they're not like top caliber teams.
The reality is, this is part of why like the Globals leaderboard has looked how it's looked, where you might have, obviously the NA teams have won the last 2 years, right? But like you'll have so much of the top 10 or at least the top 5, still be like just a bunch of EU teams, because again, it's just like, they're more used to those more difficult Surge lobbies. I do think as well, there's a lot of dummies, and we get so many we have a large NA audience that listen to this pod, and unfortunately, there's like quite a lot of actual idiots who don't quite understand that like even when we're saying this isn't us saying that those 8 NA teams aren't like. Those 8 NA teams are competitive in any region they play in. On a global stage, on a look, they are competitive. Like, but there's people who will like hear us say that, and I'm sorry because we literally said this like on the last ep, and there was like comments from people who are just like, these EU biased people like this. Like, look at globals, we won globals. Though it's like
that's not what we're saying.
That's not what we're bloody talking about. But anyway, and it's funny because like
stupid Americans. That's crazy. Sorry, I've never heard that concept before.
I didn't say that. Come on,
I've never heard of that concept. Sorry, this is new. I've always heard positive things about the Americans' brain capacity.
Come on, man, must be nice.
But
no, it's just.
I just wanted to finish my rating real quick. I'd give them a B. A B. I think it's like.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a B because most people would have put them second and they underperformed. It's 700 points is an underperformance. Making every end game is an underperformance, but that's just the standard of NA. And yeah, I think like listening to what they're going to do going forward, Vadeal is 100% going back to you. He will not, like from what I've heard, he is not going to be playing NA next season. But Cooper and Sphinx might follow him. There is a world that they follow him, and he'll either be Cooper, Sphinx, and Vadeal, or it'll be Cooper, Sphinx, and Khanad. If they stay on NA. So that would most likely be the case, but I would like to see an NA team move to EU. I would love to see it. It'll be so much fun. So much fun.
That would be really fun, yeah. Cooper, Sphinx, and Khanad, that does sound like a fucking cooker. Alright then, on to the next team, Muz Japko Rise. I was a bit sad for this team, because again, you make it to practically every endgame. You do look like a good team, but again, you just kind of get outshined on the weekend. This is a team that, again, I have very high hopes for ceiling-wise. I will say, I wasn't expecting Japko to turn into prime Tayson. Like, this is another one of those ones where I don't know what grade you guys are giving them, but I would probably just give Japko a slightly higher grade individually, because there was so many moments in that grand where he was just bossing people. Yeah, again.
We keep repeating it every week. Like, Japko just turned into the fucking GOAT of NA. I don't know. I don't know how it happens, but yeah.
Anthony, mate. He's gone to La Liga and he's banging in goals, man of the match every fucking week. Do you know what I mean? It's like... Anyway, sorry, I'm going to keep rattling NA fans. But yeah, no, Japko was incredible. Rise and Muz, again, they did good. It's weird. Like, you can't really say any of these guys did bad. I don't think any of these guys did bad. It's just, it's just... I was expecting maybe slightly higher. And by slightly higher, again, it's just that whole thing of interchangeability. Like, I thought the ordering of those 3 teams was going to be... I genuinely thought it was going to be Rise, Vadeal, then Clix. That's what I thought was going to happen. Or Rise, Clix, Vadeal.
There was only, 50 points between the 3rd to 5th as well, though. So it was so close.
Yeah, no, it was very close.
One game interchangeably. It's just, I feel like our analysis is just the exact same for all 3 of these teams. It was just like, so good, super consistent, need more kills.
Yeah,
The one
Yeah.
thing I'd say about all the NA teams, though, in this category, before we move on, is NA is no longer a region where only like one team plays for height. Like all of those teams were playing for height. Like I remember the days watching NA finals, and you're like, so do they not know how to like look up? Like, do they not know there's like
Why is
like,
Peterbot
your
on
mouse-
height again?
Not even. It was like, even way before Peterbot. It's been like that on NA for years.
The
I remember
Zayt
Reese
days.
and I.
Yeah,
Like
true,
Reese and I, we used to make jokes about it on like the EU broadcast when we were both analysts there. It's like, yeah, we actually have teams that go for height on this region. You know, not like that fucking this region you're gonna watch later. It's like, you know, for the longest time they didn't know that you can like move your mouse upwards and like look up. But like they all figured it out now, and it was nice to see just all of these teams just going for height in different games, depending again on the situation and who was most favorable for. That made it very entertaining as well.
Yeah,
True.
I mean, there was so many games where 4 teams were fighting for it. It was kind of like there was more teams on NA than the EU fighting for it.
Yeah. Genuinely.
There's no one playing low ground anymore. Now you've got rid of Center Commandment and Edgy. That no more low ground trios. It's just everyone just height only. But yeah, I think the analysis is the same for all of them. If you're making this many end games and you're only coming 5th, is you just sit there and you're like, it sucks. But you can see that you have like a recipe for a good team. All these teams probably sat there like, well, when we go on 6th place, it'll be different. But these top 5 teams, you kind of have a recipe of a trio, whereas it works. You can win games in finals. You can make a lot of end games, so Surge is usually not a problem. The one stat that I did see about Muz Japko and Rise, they got tagged by Surge the most out of any team.
Yeah,
in
I have
in
the
NA
number.
Grand.
Wow.
Let me get. Yeah, they got tagged for Surge so many times. It was actually very surprising. They got hit for Surge.
A lot.
More than one time.
A few times.
Way more than one time.
Every game?
They got hit for Surge 54 times.
Wow.
Divided by 12, that's what?
That
4 or
is
5 times a
more-
game?
That is more than anybody in the top 10 by quite some margin.
Yeah, so they were getting tagged to Surge a lot. So maybe their Surge plan maybe isn't as good, and maybe that contributed to a lot of their scum. Their worst end games, the 11th, the 10th, those type of end games, just getting tagged so many times. But yeah, I'd like to see them stick again. I'd like to see Japko stay on NA.
Oh, no, this is a trio, yeah. That needs to
it's
stick.
like, because again, if Japko comes to EU, he's not getting a trio anywhere near this caliber. So, and listening to NA pros talk about Japko, he is getting asked by a bunch of people to be played. Like, they want to play with Japko. A lot of people do. So I wouldn't be surprised if, even if this trio doesn't stick, they'll all end up on good trios. They'll all end up in good situations. But I'd like to see them stick for sure. And maybe a better landing spot, because I'm not sure if the spot they're landing was the best landing spot.
It wasn't the one game where they won. That was class, where all the zones pulled towards Shattered and they're just sitting up on height
to the
all the way
high
up.
ground,
They're
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm not moved the entire game. We keep height for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That was
That was another thing that I saw, like some low IQ NA commenters were like, these guys just disrespecting Japko. It's like, you people clearly just haven't been watching Comp long.
You just don't know.
Before Japko was in NA doing well, he literally wasn't making grand finals consistently in EU. Like, he wasn't even he was barely considered like a tier 2
His
player.
options were dire.
I could run the stats if you really want.
I don't want to talk shit
yeah.
about what his options were, because it's me talking shit about them, but they were not great teams or players.
But I'm glad to see his glow up. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like his glow up has been unbelievable. And maybe he should come back to EU. If Harry's right and we get the Polish roster shuffle, he could end up getting like a decent team out of that, depending on how that goes. So
I think just to state, this is his first top 10. Outside, if you include global championships, he was 10th with Swizzy, right? Outside of that is his first top 10 ever. So
I just want to quickly say his last EU teammate he had at FNCS was Putra. So now you compare that to...
This wasn't Everton's winner, Putre.
This is Putra's probably last season he played with Putra.
It was before he was quitting,
So you see the difference.
I want to talk about the 2 teams who kind of finished where you expected them to finish. Khanad, Rapid Bolts in 6th, and then Bugha Aviv Threats in 7th. These were the 2 teams who were again considered in the tier 1 of the region. but just weren't grinding the game enough. Khanad, I think, put on an unbelievable performance, and I genuinely felt bad because he was, really good. Bugha and them didn't get ticked for Surge once. Threats was putting in the pain, Surge-wise. But again, it was just like, with the level the rest of the teams above them were playing at in NA, they couldn't possibly do well without grinding the game as much. But even then, they were still there in every endgame, but it's like, with the standard being set right now in NA, you just have to be on it. Like, you have to be full grinding. I feel like to be in contention at all.
Do you think if those two teams were full grinding, they would have had a chance over?
I think if Khanad, Rapid, and Bolts were full grinding, their ceiling is as high as what we saw from Acorn and them. Like, I think their ceilings, I don't think they would have done that necessarily. I think that's their ceiling. Like, they're a team that actually can, like, compete and push in them.
I mean, they were Pollo, Rapid, and Bolts were pushing Peterbot a lot of this season before they split, right? Before they split into the two different trios. I wouldn't have been surprised to see them at the top of the leaderboard. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, I need to check how many times they were, but I'm pretty sure they got Island so many times. Like, there was so many times they got Island, got the coin, and Bolts would die so early, like early into endgame every single time with it. Like, it is a shame looking at how, especially Bolts performed. I feel like we talked about him, we hyped him up after Globals going into this season, hyped him up. In this season, we hyped him up. And obviously, the meme coin incident happened, and it feels like
incident.
Incident. It is an incident. It is a very big
incident. He got an injury, It's like, the meme coin incident.
Yeah, he was out for a month with meme coins, so it was just unfortunate. But yeah, it's just, hopefully, you saw his tweet. He tweeted out about, like, this ground was on me. I didn't play well. I'm going to think about what I'm going to do. Hopefully that means that maybe he's, like, actually, like, he feels upset about his performance and goes, okay, I want to end up performing. I want to perform better. I know I have a career in this. I know I can win an FNCS, because he can. Absolutely. Bolts is someone who should be in the contention to winning an FNCS, not middling 300 points behind. Like, that should not be where Bolts is at all.
Good news for the Bolts fans. I'm in a Discord with Bolts in the trading group, and he was cranking 90s on screen share yesterday. The market's dead, Solana's down, Bolts is cranking 90s in the meme coin group. It's all looking up, boys. It's all looking up. There's a chance.
I think really what needs to happen here is Khanad goes to play with Sphinx and Cooper, Bolts plays with Bugha, and whoever else just wants the meme coin. Because you still have a trio that, again, is just going to be good enough to top 7 every grands, make it to globals, and you can still do what you want to do without, like, holding someone back. Because I think that was the biggest problem here, right? It was like, it just felt like Khanad was a kind of a hostage. I know he wasn't always grinding as much, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, I feel like that makes the most sense now for those guys. Threats as well. Threats, again, was putting in the pain. I know he's really on the grind. I'm sure he'll be looking for trio. Because yeah, this was really impressive for me, this Grants.
Was he fragging out? He's always, every single Grants in globals as well. He's a tagger, he's an aimer. He's always has been.
Yeah.
Was he playing the role where he's actually like fragging out an end game, putting in good work there, or is he just like the mid game goat?
I think a lot of it is just being the mid game goat. Like, he had like the second most AR damage in Grand, like after Pete. Yeah, so like I think a lot of it is just being able to just carry through mid games. Like, the fact that these guys didn't get ticked for Surge once,
that's really impressive.
Really impressive. The only other team that was Acorn's team to do that. So
true.
Yeah. So
that's the thing I've always thought, right, about threats, is I was like, I know he's going to get you surge damage.
Yeah,
you just know that straight away. And similarly, I thought the same thing about Japko after globals as well. I was like, okay, this guy's the namer. He's just hitting shots. He's going to be in the position to do it. That's amazing. But come to endgame, are they going to, and threats particularly, he's going to carry his weight in order to be like an FNCS winning team? Is he that caliber of player? And I was like, I don't think I've really ever had a tournament where I've been like, yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah. I think he can be, like, I think he can be the second best player on your team, like, competing to win. Like, if Pixx is like the second best player on your team and you're competing to win, I think like that you're in like a good spot. Whereas, like, I think the problem is in this trio, like, he had to be the best player for them to be successful this season, at least. The last team I want to highlight, I want to give these guys an A. Noxy, Vergo, Curly. We talk about that established top 7 teams. This looks like the team that's going to be able to push into that group and make it a top 8. Noxy, someone who for a while has sort of just been like on the radar as being like a really like slept on NA player that looks really good. Vergo, again, someone who obviously made it globals last year, looked really good, almost got the chance to play with, you know, BatmanBugha and Eomzo. That I think would have been a great opportunity for him to show like his level. But yeah, those 3, I was impressed by them. They were making it consistently all the end games, just not as good as, you know, the other teams, naturally. But let's see. I want to see that team make it to globals.
Yeah, with the nature of NA, they just weren't shown as much on the broadcast because of everything else was going on. Like it's hard for them to be shown, but I think they're a solid team. They were doing well throughout this entire season. I think their season took an upturn when Kappa got added. They were the first team to land Kappa. They came first in their first opens when they landed Kappa, and I'm pretty sure they did well in the finals as well, landing there as well. So hopefully the POI stays a good spot for them to land. And surprisingly, kills-wise, they were the 3rd most elims of everyone in the finals. So it seems like they do have the firepower. Maybe it's just a little bit of inexperience. Maybe it's not good enough end games, just making mistakes. But
they struggled. They had a couple games where they just would like die into Surge, not making it into like end game, like end game. Like the older other teams are always going to be an end game. It feels like, whereas like it's not a guarantee for those guys yet that they will be.
Yeah, but well, exciting to see what they do.
They basically had like 2, I think it was maybe 3 games where they just died. That was actually say 11. They just died early before end games. And like those other ones, like Fragging was not a problem. I think they had like 2 or 3 double-digit elim games deep into end games, like really, really impressive. And they were only, I think, 50 points behind 7th or something like that. So one of those games that you die early in that every other team is making to end game, if you just don't do that, then you're already moving up the leaderboard straight away. So it's like a couple mistakes in there, but fix those, and you know they could definitely start pushing their way up in top 5.
Yeah. All right. Bloody hell, we've got through that one eventually. But no, really amazing weekend. Like that, the weekends like this are what make Fortnite so special. You know, we can like take a bunch of shit throughout the season, but when you have like a grands that's that entertaining on both regions, it all feels worth it. It absolutely all feels worth it.
And a good meta.
Yeah.
Good meta this season.
Oh wait, next episode we'll have the new meta and we'll have the new season and we would have played it. So
Rocket Ram.
We say Levin's excited about that. The one thing I think, like, we say good meta, but the one thing is like the Surge meta was so strange on EU. You know, kind of the thing that we alluded to before, where it's like there was such an anti-tower and anti-hill meta in so many different parts of the zone. Where like, you know, I think that game 4 was a great example where you had 5 teams in Seaport, 5 teams to the south, and then Chicho sitting on the hill in the middle, and you can see his arrow's doing this, and there's literally no one for like 400 meters around him whatsoever. I thought that was just so interesting. I was like, you know, the teams who fought did well. The tagging teams, depending where you were on the map, really struggled. So it was an interesting Surge meta, but it was like it wasn't what I thought it would be when you saw like the red eye hit scan weapons.
So much fighting. It made that. That's what made it exciting. And it was unbelievably stacked at some points, like 90 alive in the last game. Yeah, it was actually ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, that obviously speaks to like, you know, some of the maybe inexperienced teams in the lobby, but EU just like it was a fest of bullshit. Like, so many teams were funny of this game. Made for very, very good content to watch the mid game. And was more of a yap session in the mid game, but the end games were obviously worth it to wait for. So
yeah. There is one thing I think needs to be addressed before we got some games today. It's the last ep of the season, so we're gonna have some fun, play some games. But before that, a cheater. We saw earlier this season, Epic sued a cheater. It was big talk of the town, big news, and it has happened again. Repo Squad. Many of you remember Repo Squad, one of the only OCE players that ever looked decent internationally. Who then stopped playing the game, gave his account to a cheater. That cheater then qualified for the global championships, which meant that Repo Squad had to come out of retirement to go to play in the global championships. it was an absolute mess. It was one of the higher profile cases of cheating that we've had in recent Fortnite history, and it was never really addressed, right, in the way that I think people were satisfied with. And after the suing thing happened early this season, there were a lot of people pointing at this example of like, why didn't you do anything about this? But Epic did. They sued Repo Squad. And not only did they sue Repo Squad, as part of the legislation and the, whatever settlement they came to in court, he had to post a video about it. And he posted on his YouTube channel a video where he essentially was, it was very dramatic. Can we show the video? Cause no, we don't have it, do we? I really wish we should have had the video. But
it was a hostage situation.
Yeah. Very, very, very hostage situation. I want to like read it out word for word on the video.
I've got the video. So
you got it. Okay,
read it out?
I got it as well.
Okay.
So the video, so it's essentially like a 20-second video. There's no talking or anything. It's just like a white screen with titles. And he goes, "Hey everyone, this is Repo Squad. I shared my Epic Games account with another user, Forbes, to qualify for the 2023 Global Championships Grand Finals. My actions violated Epic rules, and I was disqualified from the tournament. Epic took legal action against me, and now I'm banned from participating in Fortnite tournaments forever. I also have to pay a monetary settlement, which includes the prize money I received but did not win fairly, which Epic will now donate to charity." Bitch. "Cheating in tournaments ruins the fun for players who earn their spot in tournaments, and I apologize to the Fortnite community for my actions. I won't ever cheat in Fortnite again."
I mean, it is great. Don't if Repulse was playing any tournaments anyway. Don't think that's part of the problem. Like, it's like, I'll never play a tournament again. Brother, you weren't playing tournaments to start with. It wasn't you playing the tournaments, but it's always nice to see these things, and I think it's, obviously, there are people who are frustrated. Obviously, the OC guys who didn't make globals because of the
Volts.
How was it?
Yeah.
Pump and Volts, yeah. And also on top of that, like anyone else who's like, well, there's still cheaters and soda cash cups, there's still this, there's still that. They are still doing more behind it. There have been some other cheaters I've seen who have like had some of their like tweets DMCA'd, I'm pretty sure, and had some of their tweets taken down, and some cheaters getting sued. So it's still happening, just on a lower profile. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see that they're doing this. I want to see, obviously, as someone who watched the game a bunch, I want more to happen. Obviously, everyone wants more. No cheaters is obviously what we want. It's impossible, but we want no cheaters. But at least they're doing something like this and showing, we're not afraid to, bitch them out. We're not like telling them to bitches,
Yeah. Well, I think the most important part here, you basically summed everything up pretty well. So we won't keep going on about it. But I do need to read some of the top comments on this YouTube video.
Go for it.
Top comment. "Good boy." That's a good boy. You apologize. Boy. Next one is, "I won't ever cheat in Fortnite again," quote. Yeah, no shit, bruh. You're banned. Like, of course you're not competing in Fortnite again. Someone said, "Getting bent over by Epic Games is wild." Yeah, nah, you got fully, bitch. Yeah. This might be my favorite. Someone said, "Slopped and plopped." Slopped and plopped. And then to wrap it up, bro got told by the teacher to apologize to the whole class. That's really what the vibes were of this.
Yeah.
So I think the two most important and interesting parts of this, firstly, Epic Games are being very public about this. Like, you are posting this on your YouTube channel, and we are going to tweet out the link to the video saying crazy. And showing everyone. And that's like good for publicity, because obviously I saw a bunch of other people like outside of Fortnite commenting on it, being like, "Oh, this is so good. Why don't our games do this?" Not like it's super helping that much. We'll see. But I think the other point that's really interesting is whenever you look into legal cases and they talk about monetary fines, you need to, they're being kind of vague in that. But the one thing he said there was including the money I took and didn't pay back. Yeah. So a lot of these times, if you look through the other case, for example, that they were doing, which has not, as far as I'm aware, hasn't gone to court yet. Yeah. That one was like, there are so many different monetary values that they're trying to go for, like their fees, costs for devs in the anti-cheat team, there's so many different things that they'll go after. So I don't know what the full sum is. And from what I heard, Forbes still had most of the money anyway, and Repulse didn't get it. So I think he's basically, if Forbes has not been taken account for and also been sued, then I think Repulse is out of pocket a lot for doing this.
Yeah. Which again, don't give your accounts to cheaters.
Yeah. And this is what happens, right?
Zero, yeah.
The thing I love about this is just Epic just knows how to they know the marketing of this. Even with the other one, they're like, we had a player who thought they could cheat in our game. They did not. Full stop. This is horrifying. This is horrifying. I just can't wait for the next one. What are they gonna come up with next? You just know this went to like 3 corporate business emails. Like, hey Jenny, what do you think this sounds cold? Yeah, this is very good.
No.
We're tweeting this.
This is angry email vibes.
Yeah,
as per my last email, that type of vibe.
No kind regards on this.
No kind regards were left on this email chain at all. Shout out to that. Hopefully we see more of that, because that was another good moment to add to the euphoria of last weekend's, FNCS.
Yeah.
Let's do some games. Harry, it's been a while. Can we do a Guess Who game?
Yeah, Guess Who. So for this Guess Who, what we're going to be doing is I'm just going to be reading out some stat lines from players in the grand finals. You've got to tell me the player. Simply put.
Are we buzzing in?
Yeah, you got 3 live buzzers. You got get your buzzer back.
Oh, it's been a while.
The buzzers.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to test mine.
There it is.
Right, get all the buzzers tested. Make sure they all work. Reese, what's your buzzer?
I'm pressing it.
No, you're pressing what's to talk.
Oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. My God.
Then 11, get your buzzer. Let's see. There we go. Right, we've got them all working. Okay, so for the first player, do you want the region or do you not want the region?
I think we need the region.
We need the region, probably, if you go fucking... Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to pick... Okay, thank God.
EU. So, first stat, 19 elims. They got 19 eliminations in the grand finals. Not bad. Second stat, they took 886 storm damage. So, thinking about where they are on the map, where they maybe landed, how much storm damage that is.
Queasy.
No.
Dang.
11. I'm gonna say Panzer.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll see my guesses.
You want to guess, or are you going to keep your lives?
Some guesses. Let these guys waste theirs.
Right. Third stat, they dealt 11,671 damage.
It's not Queasy then, is it? Fucking hell.
Merstach?
This is not Merstach.
I can't remember how much the first place was. I thought it was a lot.
Fourth stat, he did the most damage in 8th zone. The single most damage in 8th zone. Bit of a weird stat, maybe.
Yeah.
Figuring out which zone that is.
Yeah, I can't lie. The zones have changed so much. Which zone is that? Is that first moving?
It's the touching.
It's not changed in 2 years.
Yeah, the one's touching. It's the one after the 250.
Okay.
The one that's like an 8.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah. So the next stat, they were 5th for AR damage. 5th for AR damage. Any guesses? We're going. Oh, there we go.
Boom 11. So my thing is that they're on height right before like that half and half zone usually. So I'm gonna pick a Vanya.
No.
That would have been a good one. I wanted to say Wox.
No. Right. The final stat. As a team, they dealt 78 shotgun damage in the first 5 zones.
Boom. Chicho.
No.
Fuck.
11.
You're gonna have to push
This is MrSavage.
No.
It's got to be the one man
Jason.
that Harry always glazes, Demus.
No,
No.
Damn.
that's all the
The hell?
stats.
What the? Is this?
I'm going last guess. Sky?
No.
Fuck. I don't know.
Okay, can I ask something?
One of you, I'll tell you this now. One of
I
you.
got the trio.
No, you didn't get trio. Someone
I got
else has
the
got the
trio.
trio. Someone
I
else has got
definitely
the trio.
I wish I could vote.
You've
all
all
ran out
run
of
out of lights.
guesses.
We'll let you back in.
Marius.
No.
Oh, it's the other one then.
Swizzy?
No. Oh, we're gonna keep
I
going.
didn't get-
Go on,
I didn't
level.
get
We're
the
just
trio.
naming every player.
Yeah.
I didn't get. How did I not get the trio?
After this, I'll tell you who said the trio. I'm not gonna tell
I'm
you.
gonna guess. Are you sure I didn't get the trio? Because I feel like I had to have gotten the
I
trio.
know who's got the trio. It's not you.
Is it Tayson?
It is Tayson.
Oh,
it is Tayson.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I was gonna say because he had a pretty impressive. Like, yeah, look at these stats. They're not
It's that
bad.
much damage. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I guess
Right.
the shocking thing should have been obvious, actually. Now
Yeah,
that
they
I
should
think
have
about
taken
it.
but when it
the
wasn't Chicho, I was like, sure. That
the
doesn't.
two trios that had the least like amount, or that was surprising, was Mongraal's trio and Tayson's trio. They both
Yeah.
had like minimal shotgun damage, at least on day one,
Yeah.
from what I remember.
They did overall 78 shotgun damage in the first 5 zones. That is
Crazy.
wild. Right,
Crazy.
next player.
Is it NA or EU?
EU.
Okay.
All right,
Could've been any
next
region.
player. They only got revived one time.
Okay.
One revive. They got 14 elims.
Mm.
Any guesses? No guesses?
Revived, not including rebooted, just like
No,
picked up.
no. Pick.
Okay. Okay.
Rezzed.
They dealt 5,302 damage.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm.
They took 5,274 damage.
Okay.
Is it Mongraal?
I wanted
Nah.
to say. Oh, okay.
No.
I was not thinking Mongraal at all.
Is it MrSavage?
No. They
This is
spent
disrespectful, guys. Honestly, come on.
Yeah. They spent 1,400 seconds in store.
I pressed the wrong button.
I'm trying to like, gauge how long that is.
No.
How many minutes is that?
That's a lot of
20.
minutes.
I think it's around 23 minutes. Yeah. 23 minutes, 20 seconds.
Uh,
And the final stat, we are at the final stat already.
bloody hell, we've not got the guesses in yet.
Yeah, you gotta
I
get your
know.
guesses in. They farmed 21,730.
Is it Queasy?
It
this
is
time?
Queasy.
Oh my god, the classic
The
Queasy
storm
strat.
gave it away. The storm gave it
Yeah.
away, man.
I wanted to do it because only revived once whilst being fought off spawn, whilst all of this,
Yeah,
like,
that's-
and no, I'm pretty sure
Either.
no reboot. Yeah,
Like you say one revive, you're like, either what that means is like he's not dying or he's just fully dying.
Finished.
Yeah,
Yeah.
One of the
fully
two.
dying.
It's like dying by himself or just
Or
you
not
know,
dying.
not dying at all.
All right, third player, NA. We do have the final one
Finally.
is from NA.
Okay.
Right, we got
Raps
NA.
for me.
NA Central. We got to be
okay.
specific. NA Central. You know,
Yeah,
it's not
of course. True,
Yeah.
true.
first out. They spent 2,817 seconds in store.
Jesus.
Second start. They dealt the most damage in Zone 4 and in Zone 10. Any guesses? Oh, Reese was just first.
Is I
Reese.
slightly faster?
Think so.
Peterbot.
Vadeal.
No. Right. Next stat. They did 11,311 AR damage.
11. I know this.
Who is it?
Say it
It's
then.
ages.
It is ages. It
Ooh.
is
Yeah.
ages. If you want to keep going through the stats, 4,799 shotgun damage, 40 elims, and the best damage ratio.
Damn.
2.88.
I think it was
Wow.
2.28. Maybe I typed it wrong.
All right.
I did.
Mog.
No, I did put 2.28.
Mog.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, That is those. I did want to do this because if we didn't talk about Ajerss, I wanted to show how incredible Ajerss did
That's
perform
nuts.
in this final.
Most damage in 4th temp zone. Jeez.
Yeah, and I think he was. If I get it up correctly, let me see. I might have removed it. It was like second in AR damage. It was like third in AR damage, second in shotgun damage, second in elims, and the best damage ratio.
Crazy.
Dang.
What a player.
So incredible. So there we go. Guess who is back?
Guess who is back? That was a good guess.
Popular demand.
Like
we all get one.
No, we didn't get one.
We all got one.
You has not got one, by the way, in all the ones you've done.
I don't know this nerdy shit, but I got intuition, man. My feeling is this, yeah.
All right,
The
Boop.
meme called my feelings.
I got a game you can win, though, Boop. We're going to do a top 5. We've not done a top 5 in centuries, it feels
That's
like.
the champion of this one, I think, Loki.
I don't think you've ever won.
I absolutely have won.
I don't remember it.
I don't think you've ever won.
I've won all the Mickey ones. But
Exactly, classic.
The ones where there's only you and one other person. Codes in chat. Let's get
I
in.
clutch the 1v1s. I win my ones.
You win your ones. You win your ones.
I'm in.
This top 5 is an interesting one. Are you guys all in?
I'm in.
I am. Says get ready.
Okay.
Get ready.
So this week's top 5, it is also related to Grand. And you kind of revealed the answer, one of the answers at least.
Oh, okay.
And it's the reason why I knew that the last answer of the Guess Who was who it was. But this week's top 5 is, who had the most AR damage in the FNCS Major 1 finals across EU and NA Central?
Oh, across EU and NA.
So both regions combined. Who had the most AR damage?
Does order matter or is it just quickest? I can't remember.
Well, I expect you guys to get most of the names, so order will matter for your scoring. Like, if you want to win, I'd try and think about the order.
Yeah.
You technically already know one because you literally said it, Harry. So you,
yeah, I do know.
So hopefully the other two remembered what you said or didn't remember what you said because you did say one of the answers. But yeah, we'll see.
All regions.
Across EU and NA. Think though. Think hard because you know sometimes these combined EU region ones can get you. You know, they can mess you up.
Oh, I do. Oh, wait. Let me this.
Just have a think. Yeah. Did we add a timer to this? Like submitting your answers?
No, it's just whoever's quickest.
I submitted. I just fucking.
I need one more name.
Okay.
I'm going for speed over accuracy. It didn't work at all last time we did this, but
honorably, like you are most honorable for that reason.
Yeah.
You get the speed.
I ain't pussy bitch ass in this, so I'm just going straight in, get the results
bitch
in.
Ass.
All right, have you got your answers in, Boop?
Done. I'm just thinking of one more name.
I will do. Just put in a name. At this point,
I'll do this guy.
You just gotta put it in.
I'm gonna be unbelievably wrong, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, that last name I'm not sure of.
Reese, can you give us your top 5?
If they can be shown, because I can't remember. There we go. Let's go.
No, it's broken. No.
Is it broken? Are you good?
From the.
Oh,
okay.
Well, hopefully you remember your answers.
Can you paste mine in the chat so I can remember them?
Yeah.
Juicer Quartz, because I can't remember. I had Ajerss first. I can't remember if he was first or second here. Thank you very much.
Right, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. I had Ajerss first, Veno second, Peterbot third, Cold fourth, and then I put Tayson fifth because I couldn't remember who was after that.
Okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
Let's go. Juicer Quartz
So,
got it on screen.
Coming in clutch. Okay, yeah. So Ajerss, Veno, Peter, Coles, Tayson in that order. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Harry, can we get your top 5?
So my top 5, if it can come up or if I have to remember it. I put Peterbot first, Merstach, Threats, Ajerss, and Khanad.
Oh, Threats.
No. So much NA in yours.
Because they're farming Mickey players, don't really count. So easier to tag.
That's a good strategy, to be honest with you.
True.
Okay, then on last but not least, Boop, what's your top 5?
You forgot about me, mate. I went for the people's favorites here. Ajerss, Vico, I think it was first in damage in EU. Clix, because I don't think they fought that much. Ping, and then Peterbot, because it's Pete. I'm completely wrong here.
I put Vico and took him out for Merstach. If it is Vico.
Vico's number 1 EU damage, so he's got to be there.
Is he? I thought it was Merstach.
Is he number 1 AR damage?
I know, of course, you have who won, right? Like, you can message me who won. Because I'm trying to work it out based off of their answers, but I can't figure it out.
So
So
close.
no one's got 5. So no one's got 5.
Yeah.
None of you got 5.
No one has
has
cooked here, basically.
No one's got
None of-
4 or
honestly-
3.
Honestly, unfortunately, none of you have cooked. I'll be honest.
Who has?
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Let's go.
Okay,
And it's
Well,
me and
Go,
Reese.
the
It's me and
the
Reese.
reigning
That's us.
champion.
okay. So, can I reveal the top 5? Do we have the answer? I just want to know who won, Quartz. Just a minute. Oh, you don't have the overlay for top 5? Okay, I'll read it out then. So, the answers for this week's top 5. In 5th place, Panzer.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
he
was number one.
obviously.
He was
Yeah.
first
Forgot.
on EU. He
Yeah.
was first EUAR
Yeah.
damage. Oh my.
Yeah. Panzer
Come on,
was
then.
first EUAR damage. You guys
Sounds
messed
right,
up there. So the next 4 are NA, correct, Harry?
Jeez.
Wow.
So weighing yours into NA was a smart decision because in number 4 for AR damage in the Major 1 finals was Khanad.
Yeah.
Khanad in number 4. In number 3, I spoke about him earlier, so I gave you guys another clue here. Rats. Rats was number 3. Putting in the
Wow.
pain with the AR. In number 2, I don't know how you got the positioning wrong on this because you literally said it, Harry. Ages.
No, because
number
I
2.
thought Merstach was above.
Yeah, but Ages was number
Yeah.
2 in damage for AR on NA. And in number 1, Skinny Pete had the most AR damage of anyone on EU and NA. So he was in number 1, which means the top 5 winner this week is Harry. Congratulations, my friend.
I don't win Mickey ones. I win them all.
Rigged.
Congratulations.
Not rigged
Well
at
done.
all.
He did the top 5 game.
I was the
Which
fastest.
means he did
True.
research.
Yeah, Reese,
Yeah.
I think you came 2nd and Boop 3rd.
I did. I got the
Or
same
whatever
points
that
as
counts.
Boop, which I think is incorrect because I was faster than him. So I should get.
I think I
And that's why
Same
you're higher up
points.
on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also just that's fine. I'll be in. I'll
90
I'll take it. I'll take it.
You took a minute and a half to
A
be
minute
last.
and a half.
I have to scratch every area of my brain there, mate.
He's really bad at the games. But this final game we have today is a new one.
Other.
There's a
Wow.
new one. And I've been wanting
We've
to
taken
try this
all
one
the
out.
game seasons into one
No,
episode.
genuinely we have.
Season finale.
So this is one I've wanted to do for a while, and we never have all 4 of us here, so it doesn't make sense to do it. But because we do, we will now. We are gonna play. I was gonna say Among Us, but it's not Among Us.
Woohoo!
Who's the imposter?
Ooh.
Producer Quartz is gonna message 4 of us, all 4 of us, a name.
Mhm.
3 of us are gonna get the same player. 1 of us is not gonna get the same player.
I know that, yeah.
Ooh.
We are
I
going
like
to have
that.
to try and figure out who the imposter is without directly asking questions that reveal who the player is. Because you also don't want to give it up. Because you have to think,
Imposter knows
if we start giving away good clues, then the imposter might figure out who the player is since they know that they don't have the right one or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
you kind of need to ask questions that will give it away, but not too much,
Are
essentially.
we asking questions or are we saying one word? Like how we...
We'll ask each other some questions. Producer Quartz, please send us all our player. Remember, 3 of us are getting the same player. 1 of us will not receive the same player. Okay, have you all got
Are
the
we
player?
allowed to lie?
You can, you can lie. But again, if you lie and you get caught out, then like you're
Right,
going to be
okay,
suspicious. We eventually are going to vote out who we think is the imposter, and we want to try and win. as the crew.
We're going to do how many rounds are we doing of questions across
rounds
each
of
other?
questions.
I think we
3
should do
questions
this-
each?
2 questions each, I think is
Yeah,
good,
let's
yeah.
do 3 questions each. We'll do 3 questions each.
But you can ask whoever you want to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
As the host, Levin, you start. You start with who you want to
Yeah.
ask.
Okay. Reese always just looks suspicious to me. So
He's a suspect guy, yeah.
I'm gonna ask.
You can't tell if I'm blundering or if I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I
holding
can't.
poker face.
Would this person be considered a legend within their region?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go around, I guess.
Boop.
Yes, Harry.
Is it only yes, no questions, or can it be more open questions?
Let's try keep them yes, no questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to
Keep
go
them
too
yes, no
specific.
questions, yeah.
are they an IGL?
I'd say genuinely they'd probably be considered an IGL most of the time. Yeah.
Probably, okay. Probably.
All
All right. 11.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Wait.
I don't know which way
We'll
to
do it,
start.
yeah,
we'll do it like that.
We'll do it like that.
It's boop.
It's
Yeah.
boop,
yeah.
Yeah.
So 11. Would you say they are at or near the peak of their career?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just need to think of a good. And I'm trying to.
Because I'm trying to figure out who's on my
Oh,
team
you're
here.
taking a bit
figure
too
out
long
who's on my
to think of a
team,
question.
you know?
Reese.
No one's on your, no
Yeah.
one's on your team.
No, the crewmates. We're trying to get out the right imposter.
Yeah.
So
No,
we
you're the
are on
imposter.
Trevor
That's
team,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. You're the imposter.
Harry, no one's asked you a question yet here.
Okay.
Did we talk about your player today?
My memory. I
Hmm.
don't think so. No.
Interesting.
That is
Very
interesting.
Okay. Reese, I want to ask you another question.
why are you on smoke from me, bro?
No. I'm targeting Boop. I think Boop is sus as fuck.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Oh.
Boop. Would this person be the most talked about person on their trio?
I'd say generally no. I don't think they would. But you would talk about them though. Like
That's not yes. No, hold on. That's a lot.
I
Of
mean,
words for a yes, no.
I can elaborate. I can elaborate. You would mention them in the trio for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying someone's sitting on the fence with their answers.
I
And
think
it's not
Boop is
me
sus.
that
I think Boop is sus as
Well, that's
fuck.
how you play the game.
I would like to ask Boop a question.
Yeah, let's start on Boop.
I would like to ask.
Okay, go ahead. Ask away.
Let me think of a good question. Do you think they've performed well in the past year?
That was my question to 11.
Oh, we've got
last
last
year?
peak.
Will they? No, I don't think they have performed well in the last year. In my personal opinion.
Interesting. Very interesting.
All right, Harry.
Hold on.
I mean, you were taking a little too long for your question there. Would you say this player was? Would you say this player would get dropped from the trio after this FNCS?
No.
That is interesting.
11.
Yeah.
Did your player make grands this season?
Yeah. They did make grands this season.
My sus has changed.
This is the last round of questions.
Yeah, all right, 11, you go.
Okay. I'm gonna try to be a bit more direct here. I want to try to be a bit more direct here. No, because I have a suspicion and I want to get the person out. I want to be very sure from this question. Boop.
Yeah.
Look, you're gonna ask me anyway. It's like pretend like you're not. Yeah. What's up, man?
Does this person have a history of winning FNCSs?
You could. Yes, they do. I'd say they've won an FNCS here and there. You know.
Okay. Reese.
Me, hello.
Yes, that was a good answer.
Let me think how I'm going to phrase this. Has this player been competing for 5 or more years?
Probably yes.
Okay.
Reese. Does this player compete in their native language usually?
Not always.
So after the round of questioning,
Reese's last question. All right.
So both you two have thrown me off.
You've thrown me off.
you'll
I know
be thrown
nothing
off
about
if you-
Harry. I know nothing about Harry's player.
I will say, I feel like we've been so safe with the questions. I don't think the imposter knows they're the imposter.
That is true.
I don't think the imposter knows they're the imposter.
I feel like it's
How
very
safe
hard to
we've been.
guess at this point.
Yeah.
We've been quite safe with our questioning.
Is there another player after this we're doing, or is this the only one?
We can do one more.
I want to do one
one
more.
One more.
This is the practice round.
Yeah. This is good. This is good. Harry,
Mhm.
is your player good at fighting?
Wouldn't say it's their strongest point, no.
Okay.
I'll be honest. So going into that last round, I was sus of Boop, but then Reese's question to me made me very sus of him. So I asked
Yeah.
Boop that question to make sure that Boop was on my team, and I think
Yeah.
it's Reese.
Mm.
I think
I-
Reese is
I
the
would
imposter.
I also vote for Reese.
I thought you were the imposter. So
Okay.
So we're going around voting, or are we? So, Levin, your vote
So,
for
my
Reese.
vote's for Reese.
Unfortunately, my vote is also for Reese. I
mm.
think
My vote is also for Reese.
Boop cooked with this last question.
Yeah, you like that one?
What-
Yeah.
what- Who are you voting for, Reese, for what it's worth?
You.
Okay.
Okay.
Candy and... Oh, wait. Oh, okay, well, we
I
Oh,
can't
you got to
really
say
go
Reese,
with
who's
those.
his player? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Who's
So, Reese,
Say your player
who's
on
your
three.
player? No, Reese,
My
say who's
player.
your player.
My player is Reason.
Okay.
So we all had Janice.
Janice?
Yeah.
That's
That's actually close enough. There's like, hold on a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before the pod started, when Quartz and I were having that conversation, he was asked, because I told him to try and make it like similar-ish players.
Yeah.
He was like trying to clarify, like when you say similar-ish, like give me an example. So yeah, that was a good one. Quartz. That was a really
Right,
good
See,
one.
I when I asked you, Levin, did they make grands, and you said yes, I was like, either you're the imposter or it's me. It's like
Yeah,
one of the two. It's one of the
because you
two.
don't know
That's
you're
a
the
risky
imposter
question.
until-
Because
Yeah.
That's like an all or nothing. Because if it's not, then you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, well then it's
Your answer
Yeah.
on my question was good there because you said typically, but not always. Which is
Which is
actually very
true.
relevant for Giannis, yeah, but not
Yeah.
for Reason though.
yeah,
I guess you knew you were the imposter at that point.
yeah. Okay. Quartz.
Yes, because it wasn't Levin. I don't think.
Yeah. Okay. So, Quartz, can you give us another round of players? Can you give us another set?
That was good. This is a good guy. I like this. I like
Reese
this.
is
Yeah.
a sus fishy guy, you know.
Yeah.
Something about
Another
him, you
version
know?
of this game you can play is like the one word thing. We just say one word to describe them
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
That one's good. That's a good version of the game
Yeah.
as well. We can try that out on another app. Quartz, can you give us another player?
He's
Or
typing.
another round? Oh,
He's
typing
thinking.
too? Okay. Quartz is picking who the imposter is, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking.
He's trying to mess up here.
You picked a bad imposter, you know. It's
As we're doing the podcast right now, the trailer for the new season's come out.
Ooh.
Should we do this round and then just watch it?
yeah,
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 The pod?
yeah.
Okay.
Just a bunch of pickles, mate.
And we got a super thanks after that too.
Oh my
And
god.
that's
Oh, fucking hell.
Well, we also have something we
Yeah,
need to talk about as well. Otherwise, we're going to be labeled as, you know.
haters.
Yeah.
True.
Don't watch the
Right.
trailer. Don't watch the trailer. Let's
Yeah,
watch
we'll-
I'm
it
going to
together.
save it for, yeah.
Real reaction. Real
Yeah,
reaction.
don't watch it. Don't watch it. Quartz, after you give us each our players, download the trailer because we'll watch it after.
Yeah, it's on the
Um,
top.
It's going to be a 3-hour episode. Oh, my.
It's grand. It deserves
This is
it.
the grand
Yeah.
zips, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Every once in a while, Grand Zep and Global Zep deserves it.
It's an interesting choice.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
we each have our player.
Yeah.
Should we go in
Alright.
reverse? Boop start. Reese start first. Sorry.
Yeah, sure, we'll reverse it.
Who's dodgy? Who's looking dodgy here? Who's you guys? Who's a bit dodgy? Mm.
It's going to be an interesting profile on him.
Yeah, racially profiling us. Asian,
You're choosing the
ginger,
Asian,
or black
the ginger.
guy. He's the dodgiest there. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on, you're
I won't
racist.
answer that. Levin.
Alright,
Oh
what's the
my
question,
God.
bro? Come on, now, give us the
Everyone-
question.
Did your player underperform in grand
Yes.
finals?
Yes.
I was taking my gimmick.
Was it your gimmick?
Underperforming game. Am I next?
Oh yes, of course. Yes, you're next. We'll go in reverse.
Harry.
Mhm.
Would your player be classed as a good fighter?
I'd say so.
Okay.
Reese. Did they land, talking about grand finals, did they land on the north or south side of the map?
It's not a yes or
Yes
no
or no
question.
que-
Sorry,
yes or no
sorry.
questions.
Did they land
Yeah,
on the
give me a
south side of the
yes.
map? So, did they land on the south side of the map?
Yes.
Mm.
I don't like that question from Harry.
Yeah,
Why?
I feel like that's a bit too
That's-
like baity.
That's a question that the imposter asked to try figure out who the player is.
I'd
To,
say that.
Now, east or west question. Get him out.
I just,
Yeah.
I trust you, Reese. I
Should
trust you.
You shouldn't think I'd
I
lie.
think I'm
Alright.
gonna
You don't think
trust
I'd lie?
Reese here. I
Right,
don't
ask
think
me some
you'd
more
lie.
questions then. I'm fine to answer all your questions.
That's something
I
someone guilty would say.
That's not the option. That's not saying something guilty would say.
Absolutely is.
Harry,
Yeah. What's up?
is your player playing in a trio where they speak their native language?
Mm.
Oh.
Okay.
See that
it's
that's a
back
bait
to me.
question. This is a typical Levin manipulation right here. Put the blame on me. Like I just want you to keep that in mind. Levin, no questions are answered. It's in me. Who's asking now? It's
Reese.
It's
Reese.
me. I'm just thinking.
I think you should ask Boop a question.
I
Exactly. He hasn't
was
answered
going
one.
to.
Well, why are you
Oh.
trying to push it to other people, Levin, here?
Instigate
It is
here.
weird.
Hold on,
Look at
wait,
him,
two
look at
times?
him.
Wait, hold
No,
on.
no.
First on Harry and now on me all of a sudden.
I think you should try ask. I think you should ask Boop a question.
Yeah, why you not making eye contact, man?
Ask yourself a question.
Boop. I'm going
Yeah,
to
man.
Boop.
Ask
Was your
me.
player contested this season in Grands?
In grand finals, he was not contested in grand finals.
Now you got to ask a question.
11.
What's up, bro?
11, bro.
What's up, man?
Would you say this player is usually loyal to his teammates?
I think they'd be considered a loyal teammate for sure. They'd be considered a loyal teammate.
Okay.
11.
Yeah.
That's why the Boop's laughing. It's making me laugh. Would you say this player is a grinder?
It's hard. I don't know much about the inner workings of outside of the game, what they do too much. But
A lot of
on the
words.
surface level, I'd say yeah. I think they'd be considered a grinder. Yeah, not always known as a grinder, but I definitely think they'd be considered a grinder now.
All right, it's your question to ask.
Your question now.
Boop.
Yeah, man.
I trust you.
Thanks, man. Me too.
I don't know if I should
trust
trust you. Your last.
He's put it on
answer
you one
threw me
round. He's
off.
trusting the next round. That's it.
He's trying to make alliances
your
here.
last,
Hey, Survivor.
your last answer made me
Did you
have
like
belief
it?
in you. Yeah, I liked your last answer.
Okay.
Maybe I was wrong to trust Reese so early.
You're just a man with a mustache.
Yeah. Okay. Harry, your player. Does your player have a teammate who was known for being carried in their biggest achievement? Does he have an ex-teammate that was known for being carried in their biggest
Does he have
achievement?
an ex-teammate? I'm trying to think of
specific
all this.
question.
Off the top of my head, I'd say no.
Okay.
11.
Yeah.
Did your player make globals last year?
Yes.
Hmm. 11. I'm gonna ask you another question here. Oh no, I can't ask that question. It would make it too obvious, actually. What? Judging by who laughed, I think I know. 11. Would you say this player has similarities to other people in the community?
What the fuck is that? That might be the worst question of all time. I'm asking for a retake of a question.
That's a question. That's a question.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
All right. 11.
Fuck 11, I guess.
Let me think of how to phrase it. Do they have a trio going into next season?
I mean, there's rumors of who they could play with. But locked in, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
But there's like an obvious choice for them, I think. But no.
The Warriors, I think you might. There's a world you know.
I think you guys have been thrown off someone else's scent.
I can't lie. Your answer actually makes me doubt it's you.
Wait to 11. You got to ask a question.
You got a question. Last question.
Yeah.
Reese. Is your player someone who would struggle in a game 12 of a tournament, of a big tournament?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Votes are going in.
11.
What are you guys thinking?
You.
You're thinking me? Boop, are you still thinking me?
You.
I can't lie.
No, Boop, I will explain when it gets to my vote. Just don't say anything. Let me get to my vote.
No, Harry, you can vote first because I want to say something.
Go on.
He said 11 said he made globals when he didn't make globals. So
don't sway the votes of other players. Let's let them come to their own.
No, but that's all I'm saying. So
wait, can the imposter say who they think it is? Like when after the voting?
Yeah. So I think, in my opinion, I think 11 was the imposter, but I also think 11 knows who it is. Unfortunately.
Interesting. Okay.
So I'm still voting 11.
Okay, so you're voting 11?
Okay. What are you voting?
Me?
Okay, so before you actually put in your vote, I'm gonna say something. For that question, I lied. I lied for that question because I knew that, I knew the direction we were going in, and so I wanted to try figure out who was fucking with me of the three of you.
Yeah,
because I knew it was. Do you know what I mean? It was getting a bit, but yeah. Anyway, what are you thinking, Boop? Because I think it's not me.
I feel like you're trying to manipulate me here. I don't know. You were against me at the start. Yeah. I'm kind of like this
you're
attention,
getting love bombed there. You're like...
11 is looking me into the eyes. I'm getting convinced. But see, there's a few answers that 11 had that I think were interesting. But there was one thing that he just didn't laugh at. And I think it was a very obvious joke. So I'm going to vote 11 because the other two laughed at this.
Yeah. Okay.
Who do you think it is, 11?
I think it's Reese again.
I don't think it's me, if that helps. I don't know, but I don't think it's me.
It's not Reese. It's not Reese, actually.
See, now you're changing to Reese at the
final vote. Just because I said that.
Because he knows that Reese has to vote. Hold on.
You have to agree with what 11 says.
Yeah.
No,
I'm still voting him regardless.
Okay, my vote doesn't matter. You three are voting for me, so it doesn't really matter who I'm voting for.
Yeah.
But I kind of don't know. I'm a bit lost between you three.
Okay.
Wait, I think the best way to do this is one person says theirs, and then if it's not the one that you have, then you know you're the imposter. Then you can guess who you think it is. If that makes sense.
It's just best for 11 to say, because if he says,
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Who's
He's
your
not
player,
the
11?
imposter.
my player was iDrop.
my player was Ajerss.
So was mine. It was Boop.
It was
I had a
no.
feeling. I had a feeling it was me, but
Who is your player?
It's gonna make a lot of sense. My
it Thomas
player
HD?
was. Well, you guys want to guess who my player was?
Was it Thomas HD?
No,
No, because no make globals. Is it Savage?
no. My player was MariusCOW.
Ooh.
Similarities to people in the community.
Oh.
That was.
I would have got that.
Oh yeah, that was such a shit question. I should
Yes.
have.
But you guys laughed at it. I was like, hold on, you guys thought.
I laughed because
okay.
it was a bad question, not that
I thought it was
anything
a
else.
shit
So I'm not gonna.
Also, Quad Spirit gave me MariusCOW, by the way. I know.
I know you was
He knows
fucking
what he's
do that.
doing here.
So
I just-
the
yeah,
only reason
11,
why
I
I
know what you're
lied about the
cooking.
globals question was because I thought. So for a second, I thought I was the imposter, and you guys all had Thomas HD. So I was like,
Mm.
I was like,
I thought
cool.
it was Thomas HD.
Yeah. So then I was like, cool. If I'm the imposter and they all have Thomas HD, then let me say yes for globals. Then you all reacted saying no, it's not, and I knew it wasn't because I had iDrop. So based off of your reactions, I was trying to figure out like who didn't. Do you know what I mean? But I just couldn't like
You know
quite
that-
figure it
It
out.
didn't
you
add
know?
up to me,
Yeah,
so I
the
thought I
thing
was.
is,
Yeah.
if you had literally just gone like, if you had just said no, I don't know if I would have. It's just like, I know you're playing a game. I was just like, I just have to go off what everyone answered, and everyone answered. You just had the most.
But that's why I tried to give convincing answers for some of the other ones, so you would think it wasn't me. Like,
But also the
iDrop-
grinder one,
yeah.
I don't
So-
think iDrop's really that much of a grinder, but that's
Yeah.
opinion thing. That's
But-
hard to
The
say.
teammate one made a lot of sense now in hindsight because you were thinking it was Thomas HD because Sky Scroll, right, is the obvious one here.
Yeah, but then also I've had conversations. I was trying to hint at Harry because I've had conversations with Harry about iDrop's options.
See,
So
this
that's
is
why I
when
was
I
like-
knew you knew it. This is
Yeah.
as soon as I knew you knew it. Like,
So
I
was
knew.
like, I was trying to like
I still
get
thought
Harry
you were
to realize that I knew.
If the imposter, I think the imposter should know they're the imposter, though.
Yeah,
Then that,
low key.
then it becomes more.
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, it was
fun
fun
trying to
figuring
figure
out
out
that I was
you're
like,
the
am I
imposter.
actually the imposter?
Yeah.
Am I stupid?
No,
Yeah.
when I asked Levin the first question, I can't remember what it was. I was like, I don't think it's him. And then Harry asked me, is he south side of the map? I was like, he knows his ad drop straight away. I was like, I don't think he asked me
That's
that
the
question.
problem.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, when you the question.
But then you threw me
You
off,
asked-
bro.
I know. But I was
can't
trying
even
to
remember my
be too
questions
smart.
at this
I was trying to like
point. Yeah.
play the game too smart. I should have just
Yeah,
stuck through, 'cause I
just answer
trusted
the
you.
questions. Let us
Yeah,
go.
Yeah.
I gotta. That's one of those things you gotta watch back. 'Cause I gotta remember what questions I asked, thinking I knew what it was. Right? Like, yeah.
The audience. I wonder if it's obvious for them. It might be super obvious for them
Maybe.
listening, but I
That
don't
one was
know.
hard. I'm good. These are good.
I mean,
Maybe make them a little bit. I guess iDrop and Marius aren't.
That was actually
similar.
pretty good.
Maybe make it not too similar next time.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
because
We
both
do
of
this.
them they were like so
So
like to be
yeah, I
fair, there
guess.
was differences between Reason and Jazz, the no grants, but I think iDrop and Marius had genuinely had the same in everything.
Yeah, true. To be fair, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have the new trailer? Because apparently, as we were recording this, the trailer for the new season dropped, and obviously next ep will be about the new season, so we'll kind of know everything. But it'll be fun to make some early guesses based on what we see.
Ooh, let's
Oh my
see.
god,
Lawless.
mounted.
A mountain.
A bank. New POI.
Oh, we're doing
DMCA.
heists again. Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
DMCA.
Oh,
Is this the
Alright.
only diss track?
And yeah, there goes. This skin is clean. That's a clean.
That's
The
gonna
deal
be
pick.
a-
that's the
Harry's
grenade
good.
launcher, isn't it?
Grenade
That's
launcher,
Foxy
yeah.
Floodgate, I think.
Wait, that's a
Yes,
week.
watch
Oh
it.
no.
Oh, I thought it was a recon.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, these are apparently vans you can destroy and get gold from. Like
Ooh,
Oh,
high
so we're actually doing GTA heists.
yeah, tunnel llama
What
with
the
explosives.
hell?
C4. Oh
Explosives.
my.
Oh
Don't tell
my!
me they're bringing back C4.
No, we're actually getting the
Not
season
there.
with Rocket Ram and C4.
Oh, I
Ooh.
love that.
Was that a
What
voice?
is
Wait, you
that
can
skin?
buy, you can buy
Underground
weapons.
again.
Oh,
Upgrades.
underground.
Oh,
my
great
god,
edits
PC.
there.
Oh my god.
Piece. Oh my
The
god.
movement!
They upgraded the guy.
Wait, did I just see a railgun or was it a laser? I'm pretty sure I saw a railgun.
It might have been a turret.
That was a
might
spaz
be
there.
the
Mortal
turret.
Kombat,
Was,
man.
was that a double barrel shotgun?
Yeah, it was double barrel shotgun.
It looked like
Train
that,
with
yeah.
turrets.
Train with turret. Can you go? Oh, you go inside the train now. That's
Ooh.
cool.
Was that a
it's
sniper?
covered.
I think I just saw a sniper.
Yeah.
Vaults are
Oh,
back.
so there is
Minigun.
minigun. Oh hell.
Medallions.
Mid-
Oh no. Oh
What
no.
I guess that's just a
Peterbot
pickaxe.
wins. GG.
Yep. How much metal do they want at 1 POI?
Honestly,
No.
mate, bloody hell.
That's.
Oh, we got on a Harry Icon skin.
Waiting for the joke. This doesn't look like Grand Glacier. This spot looks like it's just one massive like mansion.
Oh, the furries are happy
Furries,
again.
the furries
Yes.
are gonna love it.
This
We got-
actually looks kind of cool. Looks a
Yeah.
bit chaotic with like the rocket ramps, the turrets, that
This-
looks sick.
That, by the way, I'm so sorry for the audio listeners. That was like the most terrible. We were just
Ooh,
spewing out random words.
Ah,
That,
yeah.
like, genuinely, someone like who's not locked in would like start listening to that again. Like, what on earth is going on? Like, what are you saying? Well,
We're
yeah.
reacting.
Season looks good. Look, I mean, yeah, cool. Can't wait.
I feel like it didn't show much, even though it
It
showed
didn't
a
show
lot, if
much.
that makes sense.
It
Yeah.
feels like one of those things where the map's not going to change at all, except for like 3 buildings that have like a different look, and then it's just all item based, which
Yeah.
it's fine. It's a new chapter,
think-
so
I think that probably is what's going to happen here. But yeah, long gap. Hope you guys enjoy. Oh no, super thanks.
We have to
Fuck's
talk-
sake. Okay.
yeah.
Super
Yeah,
thanks.
we gotta
super
talk
thanks.
about
we
it.
have to talk about the last thing, otherwise we're going to be
Gotta do
labeled.
Super thanks. Okay, let's see. Question for Resub: are you going to do a tier list with assault rifles like you did with shotguns? Also, I think when the pod hits the 100th episode, everyone should grow a mustache. Thoughts? Says Jody Sosa.
I can't grow a mustache.
No, well, that's disappointing. Can you grow a mustache, Levin?
Yes, yeah. I don't think so. I
Like,
don't know.
would you shave the rest
Would I
off?
do
Just
it?
to would you
Nah, I
commit?
wouldn't. No.
Better question is, can Harry grow a mustache?
Yeah, it's just about give me. We got another year. I'll get there.
All right, just me then. Cool. So, Jordy, I will just have the mustache for our 100th ape. When is our 100th ape? What are we on now? Like 40 something?
2026.
Okay, right. We're chilling. Will I do a tier list for assault rifles like I do shotguns? Yes, at some point. They're just boring videos to make with all of the history ones. So when I'm running out of ideas, you will see one of those pop up on my channel.
All right. On to the next one. Number 4, we got Bay Kringle, or B Kringle, sorry.
It's a potato.
BK Ringley. BK Ringley. Anyway. Hey guys, I love the podcast. I think Peterbot is such a great player, and honestly, his team sold him the win. Too bad he didn't find better teammates. I think that Pollo guy was actually pretty good. In all honesty, I loved watching NA finals, and I still can't get over how insanely impressive it was to watch Peterbot play. All glaze aside, I think that it's going to be harder for him to perform on a global stage in a game mode that takes more team focus like trios than individual skill, because there's no one in the world that can keep up with him.
I mean, he's not wrong, but we thought we wouldn't see an individual performance like globals in trios, and he just showed it. So
Yeah.
nothing's impossible when it comes to Peterbot, honestly.
Invisible Coin, though, did
Yeah,
help
true.
out a lot in that situation, if I'm being honest. I mean, again, we talked about it earlier today. I don't think it's just only his teammates' fault. I think it's a team effort here. So
But I think that's
he deserves
the point he's
glaze.
making. I think the point he was making is that, like, in trios, it'll be harder to continue that dominance because other teams will be better as teams rather than better than individuals.
True.
Which
Yeah,
I think that might be quite valid. I don't think there's enough of this season or like enough shown from trios yet to say if that's true. If there's another team where I think their teamwork it outshines his individual skill so much, and I don't think you could. I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's necessarily something you could say. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a possibility, but I also try to think back to like the old trio days, and like people used to stand out as individuals back then. So I don't see
100%.
why you wouldn't be able to now. But yeah, on to the next. Thank you very much. 10K says, will you guys still associate with BloodX after he admitted to harassing a 16-year-old constantly? Think it brings up the topic of coaches and integrity. In the case of NA, we saw top 2 teams having the same coach. I feel like this ruins the integrity of the game. Even in proper esports, coaches are unable to talk to players while the round/game is going on.
I'd like to talk as a coach. I feel like this might be a good point. The integrity part is a weird thing. I think the weirdest thing for me is obviously live coaching, because it does give an inherent advantage to teams who don't get live coached, which can be seen as unfair. I understand, and I do also understand the feeling of if multiple teams are coached by the same team, multiple teams are coached by the same guy, does it then mean that they're like they have insider information on how it's going to play and how teams are going to play, and like you can get into that idea. I think battle royales are just too big of a game mode where a lot of it doesn't matter too much unless they're directly landing next to each other. Different conversation entirely about if they're just trading search and pre-planned. But when it comes to like Raz, so you're saying he was coaching Peterbot, he was coaching Pollo. They land so far away from each other. I don't know if they really are going to be interacting as much. So I don't know if the integrity is that much of a deal then. But when it comes to that ruining the integrity, I don't think so. I think coaches are a good thing for the game. It creates some of the best players. For example, Peterbot has become better under Razaru, and Pollo obviously has become better under Razaru as well, and so many other players. I don't really think it ruins the integrity, but there are conversations to be had about live coaching and maybe coaching teams that land next to each other.
Honestly, it's a moral dilemma, because you're right where like there's not always cases in recent history where there's like clearly been something like that that's gone on where you're like, but it is a moral dilemma because, for example, you know, and this doesn't just apply to like Raz, this literally applies to any coach of multiple teams. Like, let's say you are coaching 2 teams in an endgame and you're live coaching them and one of them's on height and they have like next to nothing and the other team is mid ground, and it's like, as the coach, as the live coach, do you tell the team, hey, like go for height now? Or do you say, you know what I mean? But you have a reason to not want to do that because maybe the team on height is the team that's going to place higher. Therefore, you get a better cut of their payout. So you want them to do better. Like, there's so many like potential moral problems around it that it is genuinely something that like I understand people who like have you know, concern. Like, I'm fortunate enough to where I've seen a lot of those coaches at work, and so I personally have never experienced that or seen that happen. But it doesn't mean it's not possible. Right? Like, there might be something that a coach doesn't that they would usually because it might affect the other team they're coaching negatively, right? And subconscious, they might not even realize they're doing it. It's just subconscious because they want to see the other team be all right? So it's like, there's definitely ways it can be problematic, I think. I don't know what the solution is because, again, like coaching is such a big part of the competitive scene and it has its benefits, of course. But yeah, no, it definitely is like a moral dilemma, I think, for sure.
I think the one caveat I will say to what Harry said before we'll need to get onto the other part of this question I'm sure more people are interested in, which is I slightly disagree with there's no moral integrity loss if they're at different sides of the map, because like, why are they landing at different sides of the map and the 2 teams you coach? Like, are you planning those 2 teams to land? I'm not obviously I'm not just saying that Raz is doing this about just as a hypothetical here. Like, you got 2 teams, put on the other side of the map. Mid-game objectives, let's talk about Island, you know, for example, like I didn't see how many times Pollo's team went for it, if they did at all. I'm not 100% on that. But like, obviously Peterbot's team's going up for a lot. Are you saying to one team, you guys should go for Island, another team you shouldn't, because they'll clash heads if they both go up there? I don't know. I do think if you're coaching 2 teams in the same lobby, there are like obvious conflict of interest there. Whether or not that actually plays a part into what actual coaches are doing right now is different, but like there just are.
We essentially are like trusting coaches to be moral, which you can't always do, right? And again, I'm not speaking to any of the coaches in the scene right now, but that is the reality. Like, we're just trusting them to not, you know, be immoral, which again, it's all about trust in that sense, because there's not really a way to like quantify it, but there are so many different ways it can happen. On the first part,
I can take it over if you want for that question.
It's not really about taking it over, but sure, I want to know what you have to say about this because I find this interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to realize BloodX is someone that is very vocal about everything, and I think that's his biggest issue, obviously, in this whole situation. Right? He's very vocal about the things that he's passionate about. He's not very vocal about the other things that are, you know, also important and that may affect them as well. So in this case, BloodX beefing with Akira, Podosai, and all those guys. Yes, in like outside of Fortnite, a 32-year-old guy beefing with a 16-year-old is weird. But within the context of Fortnite, like everyone does it, right? We have 23-year-old Fortnite pros, 22-year-old Fortnite pros. Let's say like Queasy or like Cam and Setty, or even 20 years old. They're the ones also doing the same thing, but it's fine because they're Fortnite players, right? So yes, BloodX does love harassing 16-year-olds. He has a history of it. Not like what the he has a history of like beefing with Fortnite players for like cheating and stuff, right? So like, this isn't like something out of the norm, only specifically to the French people. Is it sometimes a little bit far? Yes, but I think it's within healthy competition that people, express their emotions and talk about and beef with other people. I think personally it adds to the storyline, but that's just from a viewer perspective. Yeah, that's my take.
I can understand why outside of Fortnite, as you said, Boob, like a 32-year-old beefing a 16-year-old, but as you said, it's Fortnite, it happens. There are 23-year-old beefing 14-year-olds off spawn, and no one talks about that. But I think, obviously, I don't know if he's obviously touching on it, but, the whole Podicai tweets he made on Twitter, the instant, not the instant, but the situation where Cammy not potentially, it looks like he has, told a team to contest Podicai at Lost Lake, and then told Demus, Pixx, and Darm, the third party, that fight in the heats, and that is quite insane. But again, that has not nothing to do with BloodX, but from the evidence, it doesn't have anything to do with BloodX. It looks like it's all Cammy, and that's a completely different.
That's separate though from this thing. Yeah. I don't like the way this was worded, because this feels like this feels like it was written. Like, for the UK listeners, this feels like something a politician asked, like, in Prime Minister's questions to, like, try, like, torture the Prime Minister, Like, it just feels a bit like grandstanding, like, oh, will you guys still associate? Like, it's just, like, you're doing too much here. I think, like Boop said, I think for most people, the way most people will see this is, like, when you look at it in the context of the Fortnite community and the norms within the Fortnite community, there's nothing, like, extreme going on here. I think, I understand, like, on the surface level, when you just look at it, it might be like, okay, like, there's no reason for BloodX to be DMing anybody, really. And I don't think he really needed to. I think, again, this whole situation between the Frenchies and the Polish got, like, way too heated, way too personal. There's way too much going on. So even when we do start looking at, like, what happened with Cammy and all of that stuff, there's just, like, a lot of weird stuff here to where, like, this is the type of thing where you need, like, Epic or some authority to come in and, like, set a precedent and a standard. In some way possible. I don't know how, but just in some way, because it just opens, like, a slippery slope for more potential weird/worse things to happen. Like,
it has already.
If I'm being honest, from my memory and recollection of things I know that have happened within the Fortnite community, nothing about this situation is unprecedented. Nothing about what all the alleged people involved have done is something that hasn't happened before in Fortnite. And is that wrong? Does that mean there's a problem in our scene that we need to fix? Maybe. But that's why, like, I think for a lot of people, it might be like a first experience or stuff like this happening, and that's why it feels like it's such a, you know what I mean? But this is something that, again, I think Epic should come in and, like, set standards of, like, what's colluding, what's, against the rules, what's, sanctionable, not sanctionable, like, all these types of things.
I think this is something that you very correctly said there, Levin. This is nothing new. Like, who knows what's true, who's doing what, whatever. But if you just believe all of the stuff that's out there, say that, Cammy did get a team to land, BloodX involved, whatever. If you believe all of that stuff and that actually did happen, this is nothing new. Like, this is stuff that happens in other seasons, absolutely other regions, everywhere, all over Fortnite competitive. Now, the big problem is that there's a gut reaction to something like this, that it sucks and it shouldn't be part of the game. And I absolutely agree with that. But the reality is, this is not really like a solvable problem, It's like, oh, it was this team landed there. There'll be ways where you could get someone to land on another team to do the exact same thing here, but you'd never be able to prove it. You'd never be able to be banned by it. It's like, oh, they did it. They just landed there of their own accord, There's no proof. And then maybe there would be in the future or something like that. But you can't ban someone for doing this. Same with, like, surge trading. It's like, how do you know where the lines are, the limits are between what is just good trading and what is predetermined, what is messy? So yeah, it sucks. As analysts and people who talk about Fortnite, this shit sucks as part of competitive Fortnite. But unfortunately, it's just part of it.
to avoid like people thinking this is us like defending Cammy and Setty from their action stuff, it's not, right? Like just because other people do it doesn't mean it's okay that they did this allegedly, right? I mean, shit, there was even times in NA where people got banned from scrims for landing at someone's jaw spot, right? I mean, you could even talk about Akira and Skyjump, you know, in PlayStation Cup back in the day. I know Beast knows a lot about that stuff, right? Like everybody does it, right? No one in this community is ever innocent. I don't condone what Cammy said he did. If they did do it, I think it's fucked up. Unfortunately, it's just a part of our game. And obviously, with the new fans coming in from like M8 and stuff, you know, they're used to other real esports. Unfortunately, in Fortnite, this is kind of what happens behind the scenes.
This is the light.
It's an open BR. Like, we are quite literally in the wildest of West.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you need, like, in other scenes and other esports, you have, like, you know, the iron fist that comes down and clamps down on situations like this, but we just don't have that in Fortnite. So, yeah, to reiterate what we were saying, it's like, it's not to say it's okay, it's just a reality of the situation we're in, and all we can ask for is for Epic to come in so that there is clarity. I think that's, if Epic came in and were like, no wrongdoing here, it is what it is, then at least we know now. You know? But I think the problem is that it's like some of these things feel wrong and there isn't a ruling on it. And there isn't a clear yes or no by definition of the rules, you know?
And we shouldn't be the ones that are like the governing body either, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
we're on the moral compass here. It's the players are doing it, so.
I also think one thing that really harmed this whole story is the fact that Cammy and Setty and Harry didn't just pack him in off spawn. Because, you know, like, same with, if it had been, say, kind of in what's happening in Seaport, and obviously I'm not saying there's anything dodgy there, but, like, you know, with Queasy's team, you're like, hey, these guys were they were so good. I feel like there's a certain level of if you just boss them off spawn enough, any of the dodgy shit I just don't even care about anymore. So, but unfortunately, you know, it was a bit of a scuffed off spawn for both teams.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, like you said, it now it adds fuel to the fire because now you're more inclined to believe that Cammy and Setty would do that because of how it went. You know, so it's like, of course they wanted to get them on con, you know, because look at what ended up fucking happening. So yeah, so it's a weird situation all around. But yeah, on to the next.
Fortnite, what a wonderful game.
Yeah. Yeah. I was Harry's beard in Fantasy LMAO. I'm going to cook so hard for Grands. Random question for the pod, but what is your favorite player name? Mine is probably Belusi. Just sounds hard. After Grands edit, I actually won. Lol, second in NA. I told you I would cook, and I did check it. He did do really good. So
get this man on the podcast now.
I was 37th. I must add that, by the way. But I did my team before Last Chance and then didn't change it afterwards. So that's my excuse.
Yeah, I had
favorite player name.
I think.
Favorite player
by
name.
a good name.
You're not playing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad ones. That's the thing.
There's a lot of bad
ones.
My
general naming rules, I feel like your name has to be one syllable to be the cleanest at least. And then on top of that, your name can't be like something that or is already like a thing. You know, like it kind of has to be like original.
That's like the only one syllable name.
I mean, so like historically. So I think back, like a name that I thought was sick was Zate.
Yeah,
that's like a nice, clean name. Good SEO. Like you're not competing with nothing else for the word Zate. You know, like that's a really good name.
Clix is a good name.
Yeah,
Clix is a like that's an elite tier name. 100%.
Yeah.
Attributed to the success, surely.
Yeah.
No, Clix is an S tier name.
I do like some of the like Malibuca. I like the name Malibuca. I think it is a good name. Like
his name is funny because it's just Malibu, California. That's his name.
I'd say I think Panzer is actually a pretty fucking sick. It's a literal tank. It's a Panzer tank. That's actually pretty sick.
All right, the real question is, what's the worst name? Let's stop talking about nice names. Okay. You know,
there's a guy called Bobby the dog.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's not great, is it? There's times where I was like speaking to my girlfriend, who, by the way, is not a gamer in any way whatsoever. So when you start mentioning things, I was like, yeah. So this player, MrSavage, and she's like, what? She's like, so you're talking like a player named Mr. Yeah, I was like, yeah. There's another player called Queasy, and he's like, yeah, he's just really ill all the time. You know, it's like there are some stinkers out there.
MrSavage does have a pretty terrible name. I love
Someone who's
Savage,
so
but yeah, his
cool,
name
you know?
is-
Like,
I know,
his name is
I know,
awful.
yeah.
Terrible name. Mr. Savage, yeah, that's
And
I do like
Mongraal's
Nathan.
also,
I was gonna
actually
say
an interesting one.
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
The only one I was going to say is obviously Twi and Eclipse is actually Twi short for Twilight, so it's Twilight and Eclipse,
Twi and
the
Eclipse,
brothers.
that's a
Oh, wait,
cool
that's
one,
so
yeah.
cute.
Yeah, that is a cool
Wait.
umbrella name.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what's a terrible name?
I was thinking of like, do you mean name or their names, like as in their iGens? Because there were some horrible ones.
Well, no,
with
because people
brands,
people do horrible IGNs, but I mean just someone's like name that's just like whack.
Noms.
Noms. I mean, if we're taking noms, fucking cringe, mate. Why are there three cringes that exist in
Or
the EU?
Grippy.
I don't think
Oh,
Noms is that bad.
Grippy.
Grippy is a bad name. Noms I don't think is that bad. I actually don't mind Noms that bad.
No, Nom. It's just Nom. There's a great flag called Nom.
Noms. I think it was like BatmanBugha is just.
I was about to say
Awful.
BatmanBugha.
No, but it's so bad. It's good.
iconic.
Like, that is like, it's so
iconic
bad.
now,
Yeah.
but it's not a good name. BatmanBugha.
But it is though. It's so shit
It's like-
that is a good name. I agree.
Like,
it's like
it's
it comes back
purposely
around.
bad.
Yeah.
You just should have stuck with Higgs. That's actually not a bad name.
Yeah, Higgs is kind of clean.
Like Higgs is
Mm.
clean.
Moneymaker. He makes all the money.
Nah, that's great. That's great. I like that
No.
one. Yeah.
Actually, there's a name here that actually looks really fucking cool
Nut.
that I just saw.
What about no?
Not my.
No,
Yeah,
oh,
Nut,
dude, shout out to
yeah, Nut.
Nut. That guy's the
Yeah,
goat.
Nut.
That guy went
Yeah.
toe to toe with Peterbot this weekend.
Nah.
Yeah.
What's the name that you said is a heater boot?
I kind of like the name Pixovsky. It kind of sounds like a
Mm.
conductor. It's Pixovsky, bro.
Pixovsky.
Mm.
I don't like Pixovsky.
Oh well.
Wow.
I
You
go
got
fuck
too many
myself.
syllables
Wow.
for you. You just
Yeah,
can't
it's
read
not-
it.
It's just
no,
kinda-
but it's
it's
not
just-
too
you know,
many
it's just
syllables,
clean with it, you know?
Too many
Clean with it.
syllables to meet my ruling. 1 or 2 syllables is like the cap. For a clean
Or
name.
clown with a K is actually kind of good too.
How do you feel about Chap with copying Chap? Like Chap 2?
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, the amount of time I made a video on him and so many comments were like, "Wow, he's back." It's like, no, bro,
Yeah.
no, other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Anyways,
Alright, yeah, on to.
there's two
And
pounds.
shout out to everyone that played in our fantasy, by the way. I think
Yeah,
we
big
got a bunch of people on playing the Clutch Up Fantasy, which was fun. You guys need to do a better job with your fantasy names though, because your namings were not great. Most of you, like even Harry's
No,
Beards, is not a good name.
No.
I like that
Yeah,
one
We
personally.
need more
I like that.
puns. We need more puns.
That
Way
was
more
an absence
puns.
of name.
Way more pop culture references. So I thought of a new one for grand finals. Somewhere only Veno.
I
Good
like
one.
that.
Reese had
Yeah.
a really good one as well. Reese, what was
Yeah,
your one?
mine was no beard, great mustache.
Great, that's a good one. What did
Yeah.
you come up with, Harry?
I had Wox wrong. That was as good as I could come up in
Terrible.
2 minutes.
Terrible.
There was walks on, walks off.
That was a
That-
good.
oh, that's
a
better
good
than mine.
one.
That's a better one of mine.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's good.
So I got all the analysts on the broadcast to play, and Mini Miner came up with Skividi Riz, which is
that's such a mini sentence you've just said there.
it's-
Oh.
yeah,
That's a new TikTok for him right there.
yeah,
Miss-
Skividi Riz.
Pink Floyd with Pink with
Pink
a Q.
Floyd,
That's
yeah,
good.
no,
That's
no,
good.
there was a
That's
couple
good.
decent ones. I don't know who they were, but there were a couple decent ones. So yeah, next time we do fantasy for the new season, make sure you get a better name. You got some time to think about it.
Mm.
This week's final super thanks though, before we end. Bloody hell, it's a long episode. Jeez Louise. Struck said, would you rather fight 3 Duke-sized Levens or 1 Leven-sized Dukes?
I feel like 3 Duke-sized Levens. I feel like as a person, I feel like Levin's got a little bit more fucking ferocity to him. You know, he's got a little bit more
Yeah.
anger. I feel like he's got some like longevity in the game. You know, if you take out one of them, he might get back up by the time you're still getting the other 2 little ones. But 1 Levin-sized Duke, that's big. That's a big boy.
Big fella.
But I feel like if you get a good right hook in there, you could knock him out, and that could be it over with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he'd just be down and out. So I think I'd rather fight
people-
1 Levin-sized Duke.
And people
I would-
underestimate fighting small people, you know, because they're so,
They got-
like, they get really into you, you know.
Yeah,
it's
they
like,
get
it's-
hot their legs.
Levin's got
Easy
so
to
much
get mobile.
experience, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I find these fucking
Yeah,
dwarves every
that's
day, mate. The boys.
I don't know.
jeez.
Surely Dukes would have, like, you know, a small man syndrome, anger. You know, that now he's a big man and he's got the anger as well. That's a
Good
problem.
shout. No, that's a good shout.
Nah, the bigger, the harder they fall. This is 111 size Duke. So I'd go at the ankles,
Yeah.
mate. Ankles are the weakness.
Okay. Yeah. Let us know in the comment section below.
Bitch.
The Ajuki's heel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your Jukie's heel. Bloody hell. What's Duke's doing nowadays? Me and Quins. All right. Well, good
3
day.
hours.
See you next week for new season talk. Thank you for watching.
Bye.